Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are good to go. Haven't done one of these in a while. Well, I haven't done a stream like at all on this channel. I've done some on my other channel though. So if you're following me there, you probably have already checked out some of those. But here it's been like 2 months, 3 months even. I don't know. It's been a while. But we're here now. And yes, you are reading the title correctly. We're going to be ranking every single movie from 2024 that I saw. So this is if you want to just get a good look at all the movies on the list, except for a couple of them that I'm hiding with my camera, and there's some on the sides too that you can't see. But generally speaking, these are all the movies that I saw from 2024. Quite a lot, to be honest. A total of 70 movies, which is the most I've seen in a single year. I think 2023 I did like 60 something. So like my goal is to do more each year, right? And hopefully 2025 I can get even more than 70. But I think it's a good amount. This is movies that released in the United States in 2024, because some of these movies technically released in 2023, whether it was at like a, early premiere event or in another country, but like I can't see it if it's in a different country. So obviously I have to rank it based on when it came out in the US. So I'm going to take my time with this. We're probably going to be here for a while, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Let me just tweet out the stream first, because that's how I always start these. Let me see. Save to Twitter, send to Twitter. How you all doing today, though? Top 3 composers. Hans Zimmer, John Williams, and Michael Giacchino. There you go. That's like the most like common top 3 you'll ever see, though. Like everyone makes that top 3. But they're the best, they're the GOATs, so it makes sense. So yeah, we have a couple different categories. We have S, A, B, C, D, F. Obviously you can kind of get an idea what those all mean. S is like the masterpieces, A is very amazing films, but just don't think they're quite in the S. B are like just good movies. C is like the average. They're just kind of like, don't really care for this, but it's fine. D is where we start to get to some bad movies, and then F is just like abysmal trash. I will say right off the bat, there are 2 movies that I do not have on this list that I really wanted to see, but I just didn't get a chance to see them. And that would be Nosferatu and Anora. So those 2 movies, have not seen them, so I'm not ranking them. They like, Anora came out a while ago. I just didn't get a chance to see it. And then it was removed from theaters kind of quick, at least where I'm at. And it's online right now, but you have to buy it for like $20. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'll just wait till it comes out on streaming somewhere else or something. I'm not paying $20 for it. So that's that. And then Nosferatu, I mean, it just came out in theaters, so didn't get a chance to see that either. And I realized, I was like, I already did my top 10 of the year. So do I want to go see that movie? And then let's say it ends up in my top 10. I'll get pissed off. I'll be like, bro, what do you mean it's in my top 10? And I already made the video. So I don't know, whatever. But I'll check it out eventually for sure. Maybe I'll even do it on the channel, but we'll see. But these are in release order. I tried to, like, for the most part, put them in release order. I thought that'd be interesting to go in release order. So we're starting off with January. And I'll read a couple of comments before we get into this. I want to wait for some people to get into the stream first. So I'll every now and then I'll look at the chat and kind of like answer some questions or just read comments and stuff like that. How spoilery will you be getting? Oh, for the specific movies? I will try my best not to spoil like specifics. I'll talk about the movies a little bit though. So you don't have to really worry about like specifics. If I am going to say something specific that's spoilery, then I'll warn everyone, but I probably won't do that at all, because I'm probably not going to, there's really not much to talk about spoiler wise for like most of these movies. So you don't have to worry about that. I think it makes sense for a video like this. Going into spoilers just would be kind of stupid, because it's like, I don't expect you all to have seen all the movies on this list, so. All right. Sorry, I just need to spit out my gum, because I had gum in my mouth and I was like, you know what? People are probably getting so annoyed by the lip smacking and the chewing and stuff. It's 12:30 a.m. here. There's school tomorrow. By the time you're finished, it's going to be like 3 a.m. It might be even 4 a.m. I don't know. I know it's worth paying $20 to watch. I'm sure it is worth it, but like my mentality is I can wait. You know, like I don't have to watch it right away. So if I can wait and save the $20, then that's cool. So I'm like a big money saver. I don't know. I try my best wherever I can to save money. I feel like it's just a smart thing to do. And that's one of those cases where I don't have to watch it right now. So it's okay. I would have liked to have had it for this ranking, but it's not the end of the world. Even last year, there's a lot of movies that I didn't have on there that I wanted to have on there. Of the 4 Bad Boys movies, which is your favorite? I would say my favorite's probably the third one, actually. Funny enough. All right, let's just get right into it. We're not gonna. Every now and then I'll read the chat, and you guys can talk about what you think of these movies as I'm going through. We're gonna start off with Night Swim. So Night Swim is a movie about a haunted pool. I'm not kidding. It's about a haunted pool. The pool is basically the villain. It's actually like got an interesting start to it. The cast was pretty good. It was Wyatt Russell, Carrie Condon. She's the girl she's in Better Call Saul. She plays Mike's mother-in-law, I believe. She's also in one episode of The Walking Dead, but I don't know, whatever. It's good cast, and it's just a horror movie about a haunted pool. It honestly had a good concept, which sounds ridiculous. Like, why would a haunted pool be a good concept? I think it's possible. You can make that a good movie. They did not make it a good movie, though. It's very poorly done. I believe it's Blumhouse. I could be wrong. It's just not well made whatsoever. The scares aren't there. The resolution of the storyline is pretty bad. Pretty much everything is just not good. Except for the cast. I think the cast and the concept was good. Then everything else was just bad. I'm really debating on either F or D, though. I don't really know, because I like the cast enough that I enjoyed watching their scenes, especially in the beginning of the movie. But once you got to the actual horror stuff, the stuff that made it a horror film, it was just all really bad. So yeah, I think F might be a good spot for it, even though it's probably going to end up being top of F. I'm going to rank them within the tiers as well, by the way. So this is a full ranking. Full all the way, but I'll probably put it in F. Seems like a lot of people agree with me. It's just not very good. It could have been better. It was not. I didn't watch it when it first came out, though. It came out it was one of the first movies that came out last year. I waited quite a while to watch it, and it was not worth watching at all. So there's that. Okay. Mean Girls. This is the Mean Girls musical that came out early last year. And I love the Mean Girls movie, the original from 2004. That's one of my favorite high school comedy dramas. Really, really good. And so this musical came out. I really had no intention of seeing it, but I ended up seeing it with my girlfriend. Just why not, right? And it's fine. I don't know. Here's the thing. I would never watch this over the original because it's pretty much the same story. The only difference is obviously it's a new cast. And it's made for the modern era, so it's a little bit different. And then you have the music, right? You have the singing. And I don't have anything against musicals, but it's just it didn't really add anything to it, I will say though, some of the songs are pretty catchy, not in a good way though, more of an annoying way, but some of those songs have still been in my head till this day, And that's even if it's in a bad way, it still has a lasting impact. So I think that's better than nothing. I don't know. But I don't think I could put it in D tier, to be honest, because I really don't think it was that bad. It was just whatever. C tier is the whatever tier, really. So I mean, I think C tier is good for that, right? That's literally what I designed that tier for. So I wouldn't call it bad whatsoever. So Renee Rapp is amazing. Was she she played the main Mean Girl, right? I don't really know. I'm not really sure. I don't remember the names of the cast members, but yeah, it had a good cast. It was fine, Did she like the Mean Girls movie? I think I liked it more than her, to be honest, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I don't haven't seen, but will soon. Love the OG. Yeah. I actually, because of this, I decided to watch Mean Girls 2, which I didn't even know was a thing. and then I watched it and it was terrible. So if you're gonna rank the Mean Girls movies, it goes original, then the musical, then Mean Girls 2. I don't know if there's another one out there. There probably is, but you know, it was fine. Regina George, yes, that, I don't know why I forgot her name, but yeah. It was fine. I don't know, not much else to say about it. The Beekeeper. So this is the one movie on this list that I'm going to be completely honest when I say this, like 100% honest. I don't remember it that well. And it's not that I didn't like pay attention to it when I watched it, but I watched it literally 2 hours after I got my wisdom teeth taken out. So I was under anesthesia. I was all loopy and stuff, right? And then I get home. Right when I get home, I don't know what implored me to put on The Beekeeper, but I put it on. And so I honestly don't remember it that well. Like I'm trying so hard. I watched it. I sat there without my phone and I watched that movie for 2 hours. I know I did, or an hour and a half, however long it was. But like I couldn't tell you much about it. I know it's an action movie with Jason Statham, and it had some cool action scenes, sure. I just like, it's so hard. I didn't want to rewatch it, but I was like, I watched it, so like I should rank it, right? But like, I don't know. Like, is it a negative for the movie that I barely remember it? But not really, because I was under anesthesia. Like I wasn't under it while I was watching. You know what I mean? I was coming off of it. But I mean, I feel like that's just gonna have to go in C tier then. I don't know. Like I remember there being good action scenes, but I just like, I think I gave a review of it on Letterboxd like right after I saw it, and then like the next day I just was like, I don't remember watching that. Like, so I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on The Beekeeper? I doubt that many people have actually seen it, to be honest. It was one of the first movies that came out last year as well, but I had no interest in seeing it in the theaters because it looked like one of those like you know, trashy like action movies. So I don't know. I don't really care to see it, but I just put it on that day for some. I really don't even know why I put it on. Will you leave this live on your channel? I can't watch now. Yes, all my lives, they'll always be available as a VOD after the fact. If you just go on my channel, click on the lives tab, it'll be there after the fact. So there are some decent Jason Statham movies: The Transporter, The Bank Job, The Italian Job. You know, I haven't seen many of his movies, to be honest. I really haven't. And they just showed a trailer for a new one today. I think it's like called A Working Man or something. I love The Beekeeper. You know, I should rewatch it, to be honest, but I feel like as is, I'm gonna have to go see, because I remember there being good action, but I don't know. It's hard to rank because, like I said, it's like my my circumstances weren't the best. So there's that. Lift. Oh, this movie was terrible. This, I think, is one of the worst movies of the year. Yeah, I'll put it bottom F, probably bottom F. It's gonna be top 5 worst, I think. I watched this on, forget, it was on Netflix, I think. It was a Netflix movie, right? And it's just like this heist sort of movie with Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart's a guy that he's not really, I really like him. He's funny, but like I haven't really seen him in that many good movies recently. Like I don't know the last time I've seen him in a movie that I really like. But I also don't think I've seen many of his recent movies, so there's that. But this one was just, I don't think it was that good from the first viewing I had of it. I think I gave like a 1 star on Letterboxd or something. So immediately right off the bat, didn't really care for it. I remember it being quite boring. I remember the humor not being good either, which was just a terrible combination right there. Bad humor, kind of boring, and I don't think it had any other redeemable qualities about it. So there's that. Like, it had that like typical like Netflix cheap feel, and Netflix is not a cheap studio. Like they do a lot of big budget crazy things, but for some reason some of their movies kind of have that cheap feel to it, and this one was unfortunately one of those movies. So I love trashy movies. I just finished Africa American Psycho, the hip hop freak, on Tubi. So bad, I loved it. Maybe I should watch that. That sounds interesting. Most Jason Statham movies are entertaining. You should definitely check out Spy if you've never seen it. I've not seen that, but definitely should then. All right, let's move on to the next one. Miller's Girl. Dude, the early movies of this year weren't too great, because I can tell you right now, Miller's Girl is not getting a high ranking either. So Miller's Girl was honestly like a very uncomfortable movie, but like intentionally though. Like that's the thing. Like I think they were going for it, but my issue is that I don't even know if they were like, I couldn't tell if they wanted it to be uncomfortable or if it was just like unintentionally uncomfortable in some scenes. I feel like they were intending it to be that way. It was basically this teacher and this girl in her class, and there was like weird tension between them. It was Jenna Ortega was in it. You know, obviously she's overage in real life, but in the movie she was playing someone underage. So it was obvious, you know, it gives you those uncomfortable feels that a movie like this should give you. But the dialogue was atrocious. And I feel like the way they were handling that concept was just bad. Like you could have made a good concept out of that movie, you know, like they just didn't though. They just straight up did. I'm probably going to give it F. But I could say bottom of D. Cause like, I think there were some moments that were decent. No, I'm gonna put it top F. It's not worse than Night Swim because I feel like at least some of the performances were good. Like I think Jenna Ortega, I forget the guy's name in this movie. I don't remember the actor's name, but like I know who he is. I just don't remember his name. But they were both really good, so that's cool. Overage is a funny way to say. Wait, is that what I said? I guess it is. Would you say last year's movies or this year's movies were better? I would probably say this year's movies were better, actually. We're not there yet. We're not to the good stuff yet, but I would say this year's a little bit better. Maybe I think this year had more like just really solid movies, but maybe last year was more consistent. I don't really know. I haven't seen every movie, obviously. Martin Freeman, yes, okay. He was great. Like Jenna Ortega, they were both great. I just think the concept was kind of messy and just not handled the way it should have been. And the dialogue, oh my god, I don't know what it is with some movies nowadays. Like, I don't know. It's just bad dialogue. I wasn't a fan of it. A lot of generic tropes in it too that didn't really work for me. So that's that. All right, next movie is one that I think is going to be the biggest disagreement in this entire in the entire list, or maybe another movie will actually be, but this one genuinely think is one of the most underrated movies of the past couple of years, and that's Argylle. So Argylle, I'm not putting in D or F tier like most people would. I'm putting it up in B tier. All right, B tier. I'm not even kidding. So the thing about Argylle, right? You could say I'm biased because I did see it early. It was really fun. I went to an early premiere event where I got to see Henry Cavill there, and it was cool, right? Bryce Dallas Howard was there. Like it was a cool event, all right. But I still really enjoyed the movie. Like, yes, it's kind of ridiculously campy in a lot of scenes, but I don't think that was like a bad thing. Like I thought it was by design. It was meant to be this really campy, like spy movie, and it genuinely had a good story. I love the soundtrack. Like there's a lot of cool stuff in this movie. Is it what I want out of Matthew Vaughn? Completely not necessarily, but bro, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. I think the issue is people went into it expecting a Henry Cavill spy movie, but that obviously just wasn't what the movie is. It was meant to be like he was this fictional character, and that's not a spoiler because that's literally like it's in the trailers even, but he's like the fictional character that she's writing the book about, and the way they kind of intertwine between those scenes is really cool. But the main purpose of the storyline is obviously Bryce Dallas Howard's character, and what's Sam Rockwell? Yes, he was there as well. I didn't. I say I met him. I saw him in person. I didn't talk to him or anything. But their relationship and everything that goes on with that, like I really, really liked that. Thought it was a lot of fun. It's not perfect, but it was fun, and I got to give it credit there. The soundtrack was probably one of the best parts about it. Like it was honestly one of the most like fun movie experiences I had in a while. And fun fact, like I saw it so early, not so early, but it was early enough that none of the early reviews have been out yet, so I didn't know people were going to hate it. And so when it came out, I was kind of surprised that it was like just everyone was like, this is terrible, this is garbage. And I was like, damn, I was not expecting that. And I do wonder, would it have changed my opinion if I went into it assuming it was going to be bad? I don't think so, but I'm kind of like thinking, does that play a role? I have no idea. But regardless, can't change the fact that I really liked it, so it's going in B tier. Bryce bias, hell yes. Hell yes. Yeah, Dua Lipa was in it too, but she wasn't really in much of it. Argylle should be a lesson to never give Henry Cavill that horrific haircut ever again. But see, that haircut was on purpose, though. You know, it had a reason to look like that. So even though it was terrible, it was like, it worked. Like, you know, the whole movie's campy in a way that works. I mean, a good example is the ice skating scene. Again, I'm not going to spoil things, but that ice skating scene, a lot of people were saying was so ridiculous. Well, yeah, that's the point. Like, it's supposed to be like larger than life. That I don't know. I don't see what's wrong with that. I don't see what's wrong with having moments like that in movies. Not every movie needs to be this ultra realistic like movie. It's okay to just get kind of wacky and goofy with it. And the movie had fun, and I don't know. I thought that was nice. And honestly, it looked pretty good for most of it. I don't know. Regardless, I could talk about this movie for a while, but I really liked it. It had some fun moments. I just felt like it was not interesting enough to be as long as it was. A lot of people did say that it was too long. I don't know. I rarely complained about a movie being too long personally, but I think for me, it's like if I'm not enjoying the movie and it's too long, then I'll have a problem with it being too long. But if I like the movie a lot and it's long, then it's usually not gonna be an issue for me. Like, you know what I mean? I think that makes sense. That's like, you know, you can make any, like, that's why I'm okay with Christopher Nolan. Like, if he wants to make any movie 4 hours long, if he's never done that before, but let's say he did, I would be fine with that because I love his movies. So of course I'm gonna love that. But would I go see a, you know, crappy like horror movie, like, I don't know, just any random, like, think of a crappy like slasher that like a B movie slasher that's not that great, but it's like whatever, would I see that for 3.5 hours? No, right? So it just kind of depends on the movie. All right, now this next one might be a hot take as well, actually, because I feel like a lot of people like this, but I didn't really like it that much. Lisa Frankenstein. So Lisa Frankenstein, I actually wasn't planning to see this, but I think I just randomly, just on a whim, went to go see it in theaters. It's pretty early in the year. I feel like, I don't know if I'm going to give it C or D, which already might sound crazy because I saw a lot of people saying this was like great, like one of their favorite movies of the year. I don't know. For me, it was a mixture of, the tone of it really just didn't work for me. Like I felt like I liked the campiness of it, obviously, because it was very campy, just like Argyle. It had that campiness to it, but I don't think they meshed the tone with the horror as well as they could have. And then you add on to the dialogue, which I didn't think was very good personally. So that kind of didn't like too much. Liked the cast. Usually I'll say that about most movies. I like the cast, but I don't know. Wasn't crazy about this one, although I loved the aesthetic of it though. Like the costumes and even the way it was shot was pretty good. Like it looked good. It was a good looking movie. But I also don't think the comedy worked that well on me either. Like, I don't know. I do remember in the theaters actually, because like I said, I went in a whim. It was like in the middle of an afternoon, and like, you know, when you go to see a movie in the middle of the afternoon, there's usually like not a lot of people there. I remember there being like one guy behind me, and he was dying of laughter every single scene, and like that's fine, but like that made me laugh more than anything. Like the fact that he was laughing the whole time. But I don't know, story just, it didn't really work for me. I don't want to not like this movie, but I really just, I feel like it might have to go D, unfortunately, even though I think it had promise. I think it had potential. And I don't know. I wish it was better. Would you say 2024 was the year for horror movies? There was a lot of good ones this year, but I don't know. I think 2022 might have been a little better, right? They're pretty close. They're pretty close. I would say both years are really good, though. But yeah, release Frankenstein. I mean, one thing I also want to say about it, I felt like I had this weird problem where sometimes they would drag on a joke for too long. That kind of like killed the momentum of the movie. You know what I mean? Like I felt like that happened way too many times, and I don't know, it kind of takes you out of it. If you're already not laughing at the joke and it just drags on for like 2 more minutes, it's like, okay, like we get it. Just get back to the story. I don't know. I felt that a lot in this movie. So, is what it is. I understand why people liked it though. So there's no issue there. Why anyone would like it. I get it, but I just personally didn't like it too much. A lot of people hated Babylon being 3 hours, but I loved every minute. Depends on the film. I only hate when movies are long if I have to see it in the theaters though, because I'm a bathroom user. Like I can't be, you know, not using the bathroom for more than 3 hours. So unless I like drink no water leading up to it. So I'd prefer if I'm going to the theaters, it's like under 2.5 hours, but you know, I'm gonna accept it for some movies. I think, did I go to the bathroom during Oppenheimer? I don't remember. I really can't remember if I did. I must have, because I just don't believe that I went 3 hours without using the bathroom. All right, now we got everyone's favorite movie, Madam Web, which Honestly, I went into this kind of thinking it wasn't going to be that bad because I kind of felt that way about Morbius. Like Morbius was bad, but it wasn't like as bad as people were saying, at least in my opinion. Like I thought it was like a maybe like a D tier movie, not like an F tier. I thought I at least had some entertaining moments. Madam Web just didn't really have that though. Like Madam Web was just pretty terrible throughout the entirety of it and just baffling with a lot of the decisions they make with the story. The marketing kind of killed it though for me because they marketed this movie. I'm just going to put it in the bottom F because I think you all know that's probably where it's going to go. The marketing was so bad though because, and this is, I'll say spoiler alert, but I really don't think it is a spoiler. It's more so a warning than anything. But they market this movie as the Spider Women having like a big role to play in the story. They don't ever like actually suit up as Spider Women in this movie until the last 2 minutes of the movie for a little like after credit scene type of thing. Like what? Why even market them as being in the? That's like, what is that equivalent to? What? I guess we've technically seen that happen before, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with the Rhino. I guess technically they did that because they showed the Rhino in the trailer and the posters, and he was only in the last 2 minutes of the movie. That's kind of similar to that. Like, why would you market this as being in the movie if it's only going to be there for the very end? Because I was kind of excited. I was like, you know what? These costumes look kind of cool. Like, they looked cool. I was like, oh, that might be kind of fun to watch them. Even if it's really bad, it might be fun. But no, they're just their normal selves before they become superheroes for the entire movie. And it's particularly not that good. There are some terrible things about it, like just straight up technical problems beyond just not being entertaining. The ADR was awful. There are so many scenes where their characters are talking and it does not sync with their voice or their lips at all, which is insane. There's terrible action scenes. There's like one that I liked, maybe. I think there's one in like the one in the diner. That was a good scene. Everything else was pretty bad. The way it ended, it was bad. It was just a terrible movie. One of the worst comic book movies of all time, easily. I don't know how it happened like that. I really don't get it, but it did, and we have to deal with it. Have you seen The Truman Show? I have, but it was a long time ago, so I don't remember it that well, but I have seen it. The Brutalist gives you a 15-minute break. Oh, really? For the bathroom? That's what I've been saying movies should do. If they're going to be that long, like, just add in a break. More than 3 hours. Less than 3 hours, you don't have to do it, but more than 3 hours, it makes sense. The marketing literally had Dakota Johnson trying to seduce viewers. I saw those. those were kind of interesting. Okay, next we have Players, and this is like a Netflix like comedy, romantic comedy. I don't know. It was whatever. I'll put it in F tier. Well, actually, I said whatever, and then I immediately put it towards the bottom of the list. But I feel like it was so like just I don't know. I watched it on a plane, right? I watched it on a plane ride to a wedding, I believe. And oh, one sec. Shit, sorry. I just spilt my water like everywhere. I'm sorry. I went to fucking put it back down and I just, oh my. Okay, well, it didn't all spill out though. There's still enough, or whatever. Regardless, I just lost my train of thought, but that was really unfortunate. It's like, I have so much stuff over here too. Like I have a carpet down here and I have freaking my headset, my like virtual reality headset. And I tried to clean up with these freaking tissues, and I'm literally out because I've been sick. So I've been using all these tissues. I have 2 left, so I can't even clean it all up. Whatever. Okay, in a couple minutes I'll clean that up. I want to finish what my thought was. So Players, it was a romantic comedy, and yeah, it was bad. I'll just leave it there because it was not good. I don't remember much about it because I saw it on a plane, and most times when I watch a movie on a plane, there's not much retaining, which is why I only watch movies that I'm like not that excited to watch on a plane. I'm not gonna watch a good movie on a plane. I also hate planes, so like very frequently I will get severe like anxiety on a plane, and so watching a movie when you're anxious, usually not a good idea. Regardless, I remember there being some like decent comedic moments, but pretty much not enough to hold it together. It was a bad movie, and leave it at that. I would be surprised if anyone in this chat has actually seen this movie, to be honest, because I haven't heard a single person talk about it other than myself. Maybe they should install screens in the bathroom so that you don't miss the movie moments. You know, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Okay. Next movie. We're still only in February. Because honestly, I did watch a lot. All these movies pretty much I watched after the fact, though. Like, there's not many here that I watched when they first came out. This next one included Drive Away Dolls, which I feel like this movie, it was not like a poorly made movie, which there's definitely a lot of movies that are similar to that, where it's not bad, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it wasn't for me. Like, I watched this and I didn't get a lot out of it. I didn't really feel intrigued in the storyline or in the characters or in what it was trying to be. And I believe it was directed by one of the Coen brothers, same person that directed, or the same people that directed No Country for Old Men. And I don't know, I just personally wasn't like too into it, so I'll probably put it in D tier. I forget when I watched it though. I think it was over the summer. Like, it wasn't when it first came out, I know that much. Even though I was thinking about seeing it in theaters because they had a early screening for it in theaters, so I was like, you know, like early, we get to meet the actresses, which I think Margaret Qualley, that's her name, right? I think she was going to be there because she's the star of the movie. So yeah, I don't know. D tier seems fine for that. Didn't really care for it too much. I don't know. I don't really know anyone who cared a lot for it. I was talking to some people about it when it first came out because I just saw someone that I knew that saw it on Edits or Letterboxd, and they were just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it wasn't anything they were expecting to be that great, and that's the same way I felt about it. I just realized you haven't seen Fargo yet, have you? It's a Coen brother movie. No, I haven't. I think the only movie of theirs I've seen was No Country for Old Men. All right, this next movie actually I kind of want to talk about because this was actually a really cool underrated movie that not a lot of people know about, and this is Stop Motion. So I don't think this movie was great. I'll put it in C tier right now, actually. But I really appreciated some of the scares in this because it's a horror movie essentially about stop motion. Like, this character does these like stop motion sets, and the stop motion kind of becomes evil and starts kind of like affecting her life because the movie's her mom, it's very confusing. The mom's like forcing her to do it against her will, and it kind of brings her back all these like negative memories about it. Regardless, there's some really creepy like stop motion horror effects that they do because, you know, obviously it's a movie about stop motion, so obviously they're going to utilize stop motion with the horror, and it's really damn cool. So I don't know, I thought it worked, but there's just a story that I didn't really care for. It's like, story was like a 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10, I don't know. And then the actual like stop motion scares were like a 9 out of 10. So like, it kind of just balances out to being just like an average movie for me personally. But I recommend seeing it. It came out technically in 2023. It just didn't come out into US until 2024. So again, that's why it's included on this ranking. But this one was really good. Or like, there was, I think, I forget what scene it was. I want to say it was the opening scene. That scene was freaking terrifying. Or maybe it wasn't. Was it the opening scene? There was one scene I remember being one of the scariest scenes of the year. I'm not saying it was like that terrifying, but I would say I would put this in like the top 3 scariest movies of the year just because of that one scene. And I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but I thought it was pretty good. But anytime, you know, filmmaker does a lot of creative things like utilizing stop motion in the horror, I think that's pretty cool. Just use a blow dryer while continuing the live stream. Yeah, only if only I had one here. Thankfully, I didn't spill all of it though. I picked it up fast enough, but it spilled enough that it kind of got everywhere. So I have a big glass of water here. Like, this is huge. If it spilled all of this, it'd be game over, and that wouldn't be fun. All right. It's crazy there hasn't been a lot of like hits so far, but this is kind of usual because I feel like January and February are usually like not great months for movies, usually. Some exceptions. Spaceman. This was an Adam Sandler astronaut space movie with a talking spider that was voiced by Paul Dano, actually. Fun fact. It wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. I'm debating between F and D tier though, because I thought the look of the spider was really cool. Is Craven in the list? Yes, that's actually the second to last movie we're going to talk about. It's way down here because it came out pretty recent. But I don't know. Do I want to put this in F actually? Because I like didn't care about it whatsoever. And if I didn't care about it whatsoever, it's probably going to get F. I just kind of liked the design of the spider creature thing. What do you mean Night Swim came out in January? Oh, it's like, what are you trying to say with that? Now I realize what you're trying to say. Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm gonna put this in. Do I want to put this in F or D? I should probably put it in D. I think, like, when you're able to do something as cool as a spider, that's like it's pretty large. It was huge and it looked pretty cool. I gotta give it some credit, right? Can you please tell me what do you rank the substance so I can go to bed? Unfortunately, I cannot tell you until we get there. But if you do check out my Letterboxd, which link in the description, you can know right now. So you can find out in seconds from my Letterboxd. But for the sake of the stream, I will be waiting until we get there to do it. But like I said, the Letterboxd is there. I rank every movie I see there. All right. Are we finally out of February? Oh no, we didn't even get to the best one. I think this was a February movie, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't watch it in February. But so Megamind. The Megamind sequel, Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. That was the name of it. I am not exaggerating when I say this. I'm not being, hyperbolic here. This is probably the worst movie I've ever seen. I mean, there could be competition with other movies, but I feel like it's hard to get worse than this. And I don't know why I watched it, because I think it's pretty obvious it was going to be bad when I saw the trailer for it originally, but I really love the first Megamind movie, so I was like, you know what, even if it's terrible, whatever, for the sake of my, ranking at the end of the year, I'll just watch it to see what it is. It was fucking awful, man. Like, the animation alone was terrible, which is a shame because the original had great animation. And yeah, you conclude it feels like a straight to TV movie, which is actually a very popular thing that's been done a lot. Where like they'll do they used to call it the straight to DVD sequels. It's kind of what this was, but it was straight to streaming. I'm like, why not give Megamind an actual sequel? Why give it this really crappy, like, it was basically a teaser for the TV series. I have not seen the TV series version of it because the movie was so bad that I was like, I'm not watching the TV show. But yeah, that's basically what the movie was. It was like a big advertisement for their TV show. But like, god damn, it was bad. I genuinely think there was nothing worth watching in the movie. Not a single bit of it. Even the voice actor for Megamind wasn't good at all because they replaced him. It's not the same guy. So like, what is there to watch here? I don't know. I see you ignored my tissue comment. I don't think I saw your tissue comment, respectfully. I don't think I saw it. I was the don't worry he had tissues one. Oh, about the spilling the water. Oh no, I didn't ignore it. I just didn't see it. From here on out, I'll make sure I never mention tissues. I don't have like a phobia of tissues. It's all right. Don't worry about it. All right. I'm gonna have to get more water soon because I'm already running out almost because I've spilled half of it. Continuing a movie while standing at a urinal or sitting in a stall. What an experience that would be. You'd also miss a little bit in between though when you're actually heading to the bathroom. So that's whatever. All right, Ricky Stenicki. I thought this was gonna be awful, but it's not that bad. I'm gonna put it in seats here. I like actually laughed at quite a bit of it. It's a comedy with John Cena, Zac Efron. What's the other guy's name? He does a lot of podcasts. I don't know. There's some other guy, and the movie was about they find this guy. They meet John Cena, and they kind of like use him, or no, they had this fake person that they made up to kind of like lie to their wives or something, and John Cena comes in the picture, so then they need to show who this actual person is that they made up to their wives. And what ends up happening is they just say, fuck it, we'll hire this guy who's John Cena to play the character. And then there's just really funny stuff that goes from then on out, because John Cena genuinely has a really, like, he's just funny. So he ends up being very funny in this movie. There's a lot of good scenes, so genuinely some like decent moments. You'd think it would be terrible by the trailer, but it honestly wasn't that bad. Not a great or anything, but it was fine. And then we get Imaginary, which is a horror movie. Another, I believe this was a Blumhouse horror movie. I forget. Like, I'm not really great with the studios, but I'm pretty sure this was Blumhouse. And this is a movie that kind of pissed me off because it actually had some potential. Like, it was about like imaginary like creatures. So like, you know, like the monster under your bed, that type of thing, and like what like a child's imagination could turn into in terms of like creatures. And there's some cool stuff there, but like it was so badly squandered, like any potential for it, that I ended up just really getting frustrated with it, and I thought it was pretty terrible. Like, probably one of the worst movies of the year. And honestly, most of it leading up to the actual horror stuff was pretty bad too. So I'm gonna put it even below Night Swim, even below Madam Web, because like at least Night Swim had some good, like a good cast, some good moments leading up to the horror. But oh my goodness, man, Imaginary didn't have any of that. Like, the dialogue was awful. And it's weird because the guy who directed Imaginary, he's directed 3 horror movies that I think are absolutely terrible, which is just like, damn, dude. But he did direct Kick-Ass 2 though, so I'll give him credit there. I like Kick-Ass 2. But the other 3, it's just bad horror movies, man. I don't know. And this one was one of them. It was not good. I was hoping for the best though. I really was. But man, it was bad. This is like insane how we're just now reaching March with this list, and just look at this, man. Like, that's how you know January and February is bad for movies. It is just a bad time. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year. Hopefully the stuff this year is better. Flumhouse slightly better than Night Swim, but is that really saying anything? I think I prefer Night Swim just a little bit, but I don't know. I liked the visual aesthetic of the like imaginary world where they were in like that long hallway. You know what I'm talking about? But I don't know. And some of the creatures themselves looked kind of cool, but it was like, I like the concept and the idea and everything, but they fumbled it so much harder than like any horror movie I've ever seen that I was like, all right, like, you could have had a decent underrated horror movie here, but it ended up being, in my opinion, pretty terrible. All right, finally we get to something good. Finally, holy shit, it was quite a while where we were dealing with the worst of the worst. Dune Part 2. I would say this deserves S tier, right? I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, but I'm sure somebody might disagree. Dune Part 2 was pretty phenomenal. You know, I wasn't that big on the first Dune, and I actually think I should rewatch it though, because I feel like after Dune Part 2, the first one will probably be better for me. I might enjoy it more, but I liked Part 2 a lot more. Like, I was a lot more invested in the story. I was a lot more invested in the characters, in the world, and the like just spectacle of it was insane. I also, getting to see it in IMAX versus the first Dune I watched on streaming, like, there's a big difference there too. But this was quite an experience in the movies, in the theaters. The sound design's on point. The soundtrack, oh my goodness, one of the best soundtracks of any movie ever, I would say. Probably some of Hans Zimmer's best work. I don't think it's his best work. That would go to Interstellar, but it's up there. And Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya, like they do a great job in it, and I love the ending, especially like that last like 30 minutes. Oh my goodness, the sandworm stuff, the riding the sandworms, the sandworms coming at the oh man, that one shot when there's like the three of them lined up is like one of the best shots ever of all time. I honestly, like, if you saw my top 10 movies of the year, you'll know by the end of it there are a lot of movies that I have above Dune Part 2 actually. It's not my favorite of the year. I still think there's other movies I preferred, but there's really no denying it's a fantastic movie. I'd love to hear if somebody doesn't like it though, because I've not seen a single person tell me they don't like Dune Part 2. What was the first Marvel movie you saw in theaters? Um, if we're talking any Marvel, Spider-Man 3. I saw Spider-Man 3 in 2007 in theaters. But if we're talking MCU, then it would be Ant-Man, actually. I didn't see any surprise. I didn't get into the MCU until Ant-Man came out, which is really weird. I was always into Spider-Man, but it took me a while to get into the MCU. Happy to see Madam Web is an F. I may have unsubscribed if it was any higher. The production companies know know people are broke after the holiday season, so they don't put in much effort. Yeah, exactly. That's why January and February usually don't hit as hard, because they're not going to release really big like movies that are meant to perform really well, meant to do really good in January, because less people go to the theaters in January because they just spent so much money after Christmas, right? Makes sense. There's exceptions, obviously, but there's a new horror thriller coming out this month with Jack Quaid called Companion. I did see the trailer for that. That does look really good. Hopefully it beats the January curse. And I know Wolfman comes out soon too. I'm so excited for Wolfman. That comes out next week. So honestly, I think if that hits, if that Hard Eyes movie hits, which also looks really good, then we might have a really good early 2025, which would be great to see, because 2024 was not very good in the opening for sure. Lisa Frankenstein that low? Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it again, but I am aware it's definitely an unpopular opinion. Like, I can understand why people liked it. It wasn't for me. All right. Next up, oh no, another bad movie. There's a lot of bad movies. It really was just the early parts of the year, because like I just wanted to watch all these because like I think honestly most of these I watched like the same week. I think I was like house sitting and I just had a lot of free time, so I was like, let me just watch a bunch of movies that came out this year, and a lot of the movies that were already on streaming were like just not great. Damsel is a medieval kind of movie with Millie Bobby Brown, and I was actually kind of excited because I love like that medieval aesthetic. I said aesthetic, but it is painfully boring. Probably the most boring portrayal of dragons I've ever seen. So I'm gonna have to put it in F tier, maybe even below Night Swim. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's a shame because it looked cool. Like I like, again, the medieval aesthetic. Millie Bobby Brown's cool, but oh my goodness, it took so long to actually get interesting too. And even when it got interesting, like the interest kind of like dropped off after 2 seconds. So yeah, one of the worst of the year in my opinion. It was a Netflix. A lot of these Netflix movies I just don't like that much. I don't know. I feel like Netflix is hit or miss. They're much better with their shows, but there are some movies they do that are good. Don't get me wrong. Just a lot of them are terrible. All right. Don't want to talk about that for too long though, because if it's that bad, there's no point of going on and on. All right. Damn, this is why I didn't want to stream yesterday, because I've been sick, but some of that sickness is still kind of lingering over. This sickness I have makes your throat so dry, so I'm gonna be gulping water for the next like however long we're streaming. Oh, nice. My substance reaction just got blocked. Dude, they are just hitting me with these copyrights. I'm looking at my phone, copyright. The video's not live, but it's unlisted, but still they can hit it with copyright even when it's unlisted. I don't even care anymore. I'm just like, it's like so used to it. Let's just get into the next one. Love Lies Bleeding. So, saw this in theaters, and it was actually a movie I was quite looking forward to. And it's pretty interesting. I think my issue with it is like it was very grounded for majority of it, and then they kind of get really like strangely campy towards the end. Like I didn't think the rest of the movie had that tone, so I was a little off for me. But in terms of like visuals and stuff, it was pretty flawless. It was really just like the story in the third act that I didn't like too much. But I'm probably gonna put it. I'm gonna say below Argyle, but maybe even a B. Top of C. I'm gonna go top of C. I wanted to say B, but I feel like it's not quite on the level of B yet. But it's a really good looking movie. I just think that's the story. They really just kind of fumbled it in the third act, but it started off really good. I want to look up the cast because I kind of forget the names of the main leads. Oh yeah, obviously Kristen Stewart. I knew that. And Katie O'Brien. Yes, so she was like the bodybuilder in the movie, and she looked really cool in it. Like she had a lot of cool action scenes and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what they were going for. I just think they kind of fumbled it in the final third act of the movie, just a little bit. All right. Don't have a lot to say about that. Ooh, this is one I literally just watched like a week ago, which I wanted to watch it because I wanted to include it in this ranking. Glad I did because it was really, really good. Late Night with the Devil. So this movie is about this show host guy who's trying to save his ratings for his show because they're not doing too well. So he essentially gets like this girl to come onto his show, this little girl that has been said to have like experiences with the paranormal and supernatural stuff like ghosts. And she's not without spoiling things, there's a lot of possession going on here. There's a lot of exorcism type stuff going on, and it gets kind of crazy. I would especially say in like the last 20 minutes it's like the best part of this movie. It's absolutely insane. I love the aesthetic of it. I love how they shot it. It's kind of a found footage movie in the sense that it's through the lens of the camera of the late night show that he's doing. So you're like watching it through the lens of that and seeing all the mayhem go down like straight up on TV. So that was really cool. I'm probably going to put it top of the list other than Dune for now. Definitely in B tier. I don't think it's quite on the A tier level though, but it's close. It's definitely close. Kristen Stewart can be a good actress when she's given the right material. I've only seen her in a couple things, but yeah, no, I agree. She's the girl in Twilight, right? I haven't seen Twilight, but she's the girl in Twilight though, right? Yeah. I'm like 95% certain of that. Okay. I think after we'll do like 2 more movies and then I'll go fill up this water bottle. And I don't know what's good for like dry throat. You know what I mean? Because like water, you would think would be the best thing for it, but no matter how much I'm drinking, it's still dry. Oh, maybe I could take one of those. What are those called? A lemon drop, right? I have a lemon drop. That might help. Helps you salivate a little bit. All right, Immaculate. I was actually debating on if I should do a reaction to this or not. And I decided on not doing that just because I looked online. There wasn't a lot of reactions to it. And most people I've talked to didn't like love it. So I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's not worth doing a reaction to. And I'm kind of glad I didn't because I didn't love this movie, but I didn't hate it either. I thought it was perfectly fine. I'm going to put it in C tier. Right above The Beekeeper, below Ricky Stenicki. It's one of those nun horror movies where, there's pregnancy going on and devil's baby, that sort of a thing. To me, I think the reason I didn't enjoy it is because it felt like very similar to the plot of the first Omen, which came out this year, but like so much worse and not nearly as good. So I was like I just didn't really care for it. Sydney Sweeney gave a good performance. She was great in it. I loved the ending. The ending was so fucked up, but it was like kind of crazy how they did it. But like I just didn't, the first like hour or so, I just wasn't really that interested in it, to be honest. I thought it was okay. Oh, I do want to watch Panic Room. That's been on my list for a while. Now I gotta watch all the Twilights one of these days. That's like on my list of like things I gotta do. And whenever I do it, it'll obviously be for the channel. But yeah, what was I talking about? Immaculate, perfectly fine. That like final moment, it was pretty insane. So I'll give it that. But I don't know, it just wasn't as good as it should have been because there's other movies that were a lot better. All right, now one of the biggest surprises of the year for me is this next one, and that is Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. So I watched Blood and Honey last year, and it was my least favorite movie of last year. It was, or 2023. It was pretty terrible. The sequel, though, which came out this past year, wasn't that bad. Like, it's not good at all, but it's not awful. So I'm going to put it in D tier, but honestly, it's not that bad. It is a decent, like, B-movie slasher with decent kills, a terrible story, but you're watching a slasher. Like, there's so many slashers out there that don't have good stories, but if their kills are good, it at least gives it some sort of exception. And I feel like this movie was that. Like, I don't know, these movies, these, like, what are they called? The Poohverse, are they calling it, or something? I don't know. It's like the public domain movies. I think the Peter Pan movie's coming out like this week or something, or next week or whatever. But like, I don't think it's like a terrible concept. Like, sure, go for it. Like, people are like immediately shutting it down. Like, oh, that's stupid. They should never do that. But I don't really see the issue. You know, like, they're taking public domain. Is it very uncreative? Yes. But who cares? Let them have fun with it. And they do have fun with it. But as long as they make it good, then I'm on board with it. I don't think they've been that good yet, but this one was a massive improvement over the first one. So I will give them that, right? I'll give them that. There was much better kills. There was actual like acting in it. You know, it was like the first one was just bad all around. Like, it just felt like it was put together with toothpicks. And this one felt like it had an actual team that cared about making a decent slasher, but not great. It's just like, I would recommend watching it if you like. It's a good movie to put on with like friends, just like, you know what I mean? It's not great for like actual cinema, you know, like if you're trying to recommend a movie to someone, it's not great for that. But if you're just putting a movie on while your friends are drunk or whatever, I don't know, like there's moments you could have fun with this, right? But I just think at the very least it's an accomplishment that it was better than the first one. So I'll give them that. And I think they're doing more. So I mean, you got to do the Peter Pan one soon. They're doing a whole Poohverse, like Avengers type movie with all the Pooh people. So I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's as terrible as people are making it out to be. Into the Poohverse, yeah. I think it's kind of funny, to be honest. Like, I don't see an issue with taking public domain things and just kind of like messing around with it. I think it's funny. Like, it's not hurting anyone. It really isn't. It's just extra content. Like, if you think it's bad, you think it's bad. I don't know. Some people get like so pissed about these movies. They're like, oh, they're killing cinema. Like, oh, these movies are not killing cinema. It's just, that's not what's happening. They're just making ridiculous movies. Ridiculous movies have been made since the dawn of time. You can go back to the freaking 50s. You can find ridiculous movies. They exist. They always existed. And I think that they can make ridiculous movies good. It's possible. They haven't really done that yet with this franchise. Maybe they will. And I'm just giving it credit where it's due. It's better than the first. There you go. All right. Next up, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. I was so disappointed with this movie. I was disappointed, but it's not bad though, right? That is an important distinction. Disappointment does not mean it's bad. I'm putting it in the C tier. It's average. But the reason I was disappointed is because every other Godzilla movie in this universe is amazing. Like, the first Godzilla 2014 was amazing. I know that's not the original Godzilla. I'm saying for this new monster verse they're doing. The 2019 one was amazing. Godzilla vs. Kong was really good. Like, I loved all three of those movies. Kong Skull Island was amazing. The New Empire was a massive downgrade. Like, just the story wasn't as interesting. Even just the fights with the monsters weren't as interesting. It starts to feel like, I don't even know how to like describe it. It just, I don't know. It's not bad though. I still had fun. There was a lot of great moments. There's I liked Kong, the Son of Kong in it. That was cool. That was in the trailer. It's not a spoiler, but that was awesome. I think Godzilla was the biggest disappointment with this one, to be honest. He didn't really do a lot that was that exciting, but I think Kong was the more exciting part. I think one of my bigger issues, though, is the fact that a lot of the fighting doesn't take place in like normal places. Most of the fighting is in the like Middle Earth area. I forget what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. And I don't think that works because what makes Godzilla and Kong so cool is they're fighting in places that are normally inhabited by people, and then it creates all this destruction, and you're basically looking at like to them our cities are like playpens almost, right? And that's kind of the appeal of these monsters. But then you go to this movie and like a lot of it, there's one scene where they're in a city and it's good, but like most of it's not there. It's just kind of in these mythical lands, and I don't know, for some reason it just wasn't as interesting as watching them fight. And they fought in Tokyo in the last movie, right? Like I think that was in Tokyo, right? It was fucking awesome, but like wasn't as cool here. But yeah, I watched every Godzilla movie except for a couple this past year just to get in preparation for it. It was like 50 of them or something. It was an insane thing I did, but I did it and ended with this one. Unfortunately, was kind of disappointing. I did a whole ranking of every Godzilla as well. So if you haven't checked out my ranking of every Godzilla movie, go check it out. But yeah, disappointment. Still like the movie though. What's up, Chad? How you doing? Okay. I laughed at poop people. I did say that. A lot of bad movies are from people that just got started with filmmaking. That's true. That is very, very true. Which is why I think it's important, if you're judging movies, you judge it based on the movie. You don't judge it based on the person. Like I hate the idea of being like, I don't like people talking about like the worst directors and stuff. Like I just think that's a weird thing to do. Like it's just people who are passionate about their thing, making their thing. I'm not going to sit here and say these directors suck. I know earlier in the stream I mentioned, I didn't even say his name because I don't like doing that, like I said, but I talked about that one director of Imaginary that he's directed 3 awful horror movies. I'm not going to say he's a bad director because of that, you know? He just happens to have directed 3 movies that are not very good. I hope he learns from it, but also it's different with him specifically because he's also getting millions upon millions of dollars of a budget to make these movies, which I always wonder, like, well, okay, like I don't know. I don't really know how that works. I'm sure the movies are making a profit, which is maybe why. I guess horror movies usually make profits because they're horror movies. Even if they end up being bad, people watch them anyways. I don't know. Regardless, I think that's different than judging someone who's like a low budget, you know, indie film or something. It doesn't have a studio behind it. I think it's different. But I always try not to directly judge the filmmaker in a sense that I'm like judging them rather than their work. You know what I mean? I just think it makes sense. Have you already ranked Deadpool and Wolverine? No, because we're going in release order. We're only in March or April now, I think. So we're not there yet. It's down here. Okay, we're starting to get some good movies. I'm looking at it right now. The next like couple movies, we're getting some good stuff, which is good. So for now, I'm gonna go fill up my water. We're already an hour into this. Oh my goodness, man. I'm going slow. I just need more water. That's all I need. And I will be right back. I'm also going to get a lemon drop because that'll help with the sore throat a little bit. I think it will because, you know, helps salivate a little bit. I don't know. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Chair's favorite movie was Madam Web. Okay, still got the lemon drop in my mouth, so you guys are gonna have to deal with that for a little bit. All right. Next up, we got Monkey Man. I love how Monkey Man and the First Omen, their posters are so similar, and they released right next to each other, which I thought was funny. Okay, so Monkey Man is one I'm kind of conflicted on, because as much as I want to give it A, I don't think it's quite an A tier movie, but it's close. It's very, very close. I'm probably give it top of B. Very, very good action movie starring Dev Patel. Is it Dev Patel? Is that you pronounce it? I think so. He directed it as well. Very great action, like a lot of like solid action scenes that honestly, what's the word? Compete with like John Wick's action scenes, at least some of them. So really, really good stuff. I think the story kind of holds it back a little bit, but it's not like it's a bad story. I just don't think it's as good as some of the other A tier movies, and I want to save some room there for those A tier movies that we're gonna eventually get to, trust me. But yeah, Monkey Man, I think this is definitely I mean, at one point in the year it was one of my favorites. You could see on this ranking, because again, we're going in release order, so at one point it was my second favorite movie of the year. You guys can hear me cracking on the lemon drop. Let me just swallow it, okay? I think this will turn into like a lemon drop mukbang. Okay. What's next? Where'd you get the microphone? Is it a good one? It's a Blue Yeti X. That's what it is. I got it just on Amazon. Okay. The First Omen. Oh man. Oh, I love The First Omen. I do have a reaction to this on the channel, so if you haven't watched it, go check it out. This might be our first A tier of the day, I think. Yeah, I'm putting that in A tier. So The First Omen, one of my favorite horror movies of the year. And the more I think about it, the more I even like it more. So maybe I should rewatch it. But it's one of the best, like, what I mean, like those type of horror movies that are set in the setting where you would have a nun as the main character. One of the better ones. So it's a prequel to the original Omen film from the 70s, and it's essentially about how the Antichrist is born, because obviously the Antichrist is in the Omen. That's what it's about, right? And so this is about his birth, and it's really an interesting story. It's like the church is like, I thought it was really, really interesting, and I honestly like. I kind of forget the original movie, like in terms of what this story had, like what role the story played in that movie. It played a role, but I just don't remember the exact specifics. But when it comes to this movie, it was about like the church is trying to raise hell in a sense, like have the Antichrist be there, and then obviously cause conflicts as the Antichrist would, and then what would happen is people would turn to the church and then give the church more support because of that. I thought that was an interesting concept for the movie to do, and it is such a well shot movie. It looks gorgeous. It's kind of terrifying, some of the scenes. So yeah, one of the best of the year for sure. I've not seen Snack Shack. No, I was gonna watch that this year actually, but I didn't have time. The lemon drop ASMR. Yeah, no, The First Omen was amazing. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it already. I kind of want to rewatch it because it was good. It was really good. It came together in the end. I would say the first hour isn't the best, but like once you really get into it, you're in the kind of, you get certain reveals to you. It's like, oh shit, the whole movie ends up becoming so much better. Like it's one of those movies, So yeah, really like that one. Definitely gonna have it in A tier. That sounds good. Civil War. Civil War is gonna go in A tier as well. probably above the first Omen. Civil War was a gorgeous movie, was shot really well. Alex Garland film, and it's about these journalists, these war journalists in a civil war of the United States. And a lot of the criticism this movie got was surrounded upon like people saying the actual conflict itself doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, why are they fighting? Like, why are these groups fighting? The movie doesn't really like go into specifics. It's not really like specifically like shoved in your face. It just kind of says, okay, there's a president in the movie that a lot of people have a problem with, and they kind of banded together with this. Some people did, not all the states. Like some of the states had their own like loyalists and stuff, and then they kind of banded together to fight against some of the things the president was doing. That's what I got, at least, and I thought it worked. Like, that side of it wasn't the focus. The focus was the war journalism and the lengths they're willing to go to prove like what's going on in the war, make sure that people are in the know of it. And it's great. Kaylee Spaney's in it. Kirsten Dunst. It was really solid. I wanted a little more out of it though. Like, I don't think it was as good as I was hoping. Like, I was expecting an S tier movie, and it got an A tier, which is fine. It's not a big deal, but I was expecting something a little bit better. And unfortunately just wasn't that. But A tier is still really good. So excellent choice for Civil War. Thanks. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like it though, which was interesting. Well, no, I think most people liked it. I think there was just a certain group that I saw that wasn't liking it. Like a lot of like people who were like really, really like hardcore, what do you call it, cinephile? I don't know what the word is. Like a lot of would I be described as one of those? I don't know. I like movies a lot, but I don't know if I'm not like watching every single, like I'm not watching like 3 movies a day. Like, I'm not to that extent, you know what I mean? Like, I watch when I can, sort of. Part of it's my job, but like, I did see a lot of people who did not like Civil War. So like, I think a lot of more like casual viewers liked it more, but I could be wrong. I don't know. It's not like, I don't think it's a generalization I'm giving. There's tons of people could have liked it no matter who you are. Is Alien Romulus here somewhere? Yes, we will get to that. It's going to be down here, so don't you worry about that. All right, next up we have the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Now, I wanted to see this in theaters, and I did not get a chance to. I recently watched it on streaming like a month ago, and I actually really fucking liked it. Like, it was really good. It was honestly one of the better World War II movies I've seen in a while. It's not really like, it's not specifically about World War II itself. That's not like the, it's not about like soldiers in World War II, in a sense, because they're trying to do this mission secretly, the British Army. So then they recruit all these guys to do it, and they're fun as hell. You got Henry Cavill, Alan Richardson is his name, and I'm gonna say probably B tier, right above Late Night with the Devil, but below Monkey Man. Yeah, it was really fun. It's like just these guys who are just really good at their jobs doing this undercover mission, or not really undercover, but like secret. Well, there's parts of it that are undercover, but other parts of it, it's just they're trying to be secretive about it, right? And I think it's a Guy Ritchie movie, right? Really, really fun, and a lot of great action scenes, great music. Made for a good time. It's not a movie that you're going to watch for any like deep story or anything. There's no deep story to this movie. There's no complexity to it. It's just, you watch it for Henry Cavill shooting people with a suppressed machine gun. Like, that's literally all you need out of it, and that's all I got out of it. And I loved it. I had fun with it. Some movies are just meant to be fun, and this was one of those, at least for me. It was just well made, I don't know how other people felt about it though. Like, I didn't see any other reviews about it. Like, I didn't know how anyone felt about it. Have you seen Alice in Borderland? No, I haven't. But I've been thinking about watching it because I've heard it's similar to Squid Game. So maybe. Okay. Don't really have much else to say about that. But like I said, I liked it quite a bit. Definitely liked it. Okay. Abigail is next, which I think, I like this a lot, but I don't think I liked it as much as other people did. But it's still going to go B tier, probably bottom of B, at least for now. But Abigail was really fun. It was these people, like a very different group of people, like, they have their own motivations and reasons for why they're doing this, but they're basically assigned to this job inside this mansion, and this little girl's there, and they kind of, I don't want to spoil anything because I feel like there's a lot of the marketing spoiled the movie already, to be honest. Obviously you're going to know it's about a little girl vampire. That's kind of hard not to know, but they should have maybe not said that in the marketing, because I feel like it would have been cooler if you didn't know that. Whatever. There's a lot of cool like vampire action in it. I just think it's, for me, not as good as I want it to be. I think the ending, although I was entertained by it, I thought there were certain choices that I think would have worked and been a little more interesting, particularly with Dan Stevens. Oh, is it Dan Stevens? I gotta look it up. I forget his name. What is that guy's name? Dan Stevens. Yes, he's great. But I don't really love what they did with his character in the end. But regardless, really enjoyed it. You got Melissa Barrera's in it. Who else is in it? Let me look up. Catherine Newton. Yes, she was in Lisa Frankenstein as well. Kevin Durand. Yeah, great cast. Giancarlo Esposito. Forgot about him. I don't know how I forgot about him. Really fun movie. Really entertaining. Solid action. Not action. Horror comedy. But not as good. I feel like a lot of other people would have an A tier. But for me, B tier sounds good. Right now, I believe American Horror Story is the only show you're watching, so I was wondering if you'll be starting a new one soon. I am going to be doing Scream Queens soon, but Yellow Jackets I technically am watching. It's just Paramount is being a big pain in the butt right now, so they're copywriting my stuff, give me strikes and all that. So I'm trying to deal with Paramount right now and figure out all that, and then once I'm done with all that, I'll get back to Yellow Jackets. It's just I had to stop watching it for now because they're just giving me a huge bunch. They're giving me a lot of trouble, so. But I will start Scream Queens soon for sure. When you got up to refill your water, I heard the door open and close, open and close, open and close again. Wait, what? What? Is there ghosts in my house or something? What's going on? All right. We got so many movies, man. Okay, Challengers. Nice. All right. This is one I wanted to talk about because, I mean, I had it in my honorable mentions in my top 10 of the year, but I didn't have it in my top 10 itself. But I would give this an S tier. No, not S tier. Ooh, I don't know. Should it get S tier? It's either going to be bottom of S or top of A. And I'm not sure which one I want to give it. Because I don't really have anything like, there's no issues with the movie. It's a flawless film. But like, just because it's flawless doesn't mean I'm going to put an S because maybe I didn't enjoy it as much as I would for most S movies. Oh, I don't know. What do you think? What are we thinking? S or A? I'm gonna put top of S for now. But this was great. The soundtrack was probably one of the best of the year. Freaking electric as hell. I loved it. So good. Is Challengers a sports movie? Technically, but it's not really about that. It's a tennis movie. It's got a lot of tennis in it. It's not really about that though. It's mainly about these two characters and their relationship with this one girl, and there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama with certain things, without spoiling anything. There's just a lot of drama there, and I think it's very, very, very interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, right? And the music helps, the directing helps, everything is really well done, right? So tennis is there as the backdrop, but I think it's really cool because like these characters are constantly going back and forth with each other throughout the whole movie, as they're also in a tennis match going back and forth with the ball. That was cool. Like a lot of interesting symbolism there, and just I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really good, and definitely deserves A tier. At the very least, I want to give it S, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard because I know it's not in my top 10 of the year. I already did my top 10 ranking, but do I want to have more than 10 movies in my S tier? I feel like that's a lot, I don't know. Josh O'Connor has been really underpraised for his performance. He was, yeah, I'm pretty positive I know which of the guys Josh O'Connor is. Yeah, he was really good. I think the whole cast was great, but yeah. He was the one... I don't want to I forget it. Was his name Patrick in the movie? I'll look it up. I think his name was Patrick, right? Yeah, Patrick, and then the other kid was Art. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really, really good. The tennis scenes were shot so well. Just one of the best shot movies of the year as well. So there's that. Okay. Vermins. I don't really know how you pronounce this because technically the movie in English is called Infested, but it's a French film, so the title is technically Vermins. I don't know. This is a spider attack movie. I'm not even kidding. There's an apartment complex as the main set piece for this movie, and it's just spiders attacking people the whole movie. Like, there's a spider outbreak, and if you are scared of spiders, do not even go near this movie with a 10-foot pole, because it is by far the most spider-infested movie I've ever seen in my entire life. There is fucking spiders everywhere, and it's pretty good. Like, I thought it was pretty solid. I think there's an issue with some of the characters, but when it comes to, like, I'm just generally not being interested in the characters, but when it comes to the actual, like, horror of the spiders, it's pretty engaging for the most part. Like, there's a lot of cool scenes that you're going through the apartment complex, and there's like spiders everywhere crawling on the walls. The CGI was sometimes really bad with the spiders. They didn't have the best CGI, unfortunately, but I don't really give a shit. Like, it's not going to ruin the movie just because the CGI is not great. So I'm thinking either bottom of B or top of C. I could go either way, but I'm probably going to go top of C. But it was much better than I thought it was going to be. So I don't think Vermins beats Arachnophobia. I have not seen Arachnophobia. There was another spider movie this year or last year that I did not watch, but I was gonna watch it. I think it's called Sting. Didn't watch it. Okay. You are brave to watch that. I'm not really scared of spiders myself, so I don't really care, but I feel like if you had arachnophobia, it would just be a nightmare to watch that. It would be like the well, I don't know, because I was trying to think of another. Never mind. I was thinking of another example of a movie with another phobia, but I just couldn't think of it. So whatever. Okay. Turtles All the Way Down. This is actually, I watched this really recent, which I don't know why I put it on, because it's not like a movie I had on my watch list or anything, but I think I just saw it, like the poster, and I was like, whatever, I'll put this on. It came out 2024, so I might as well add it to the list. And I ended up really enjoying it, actually. Like, it's a really underrated movie. I'll say underrated. I don't really know how people felt about it, but I liked it a lot, though, and I wasn't expecting to like it. I guess that's why I'm saying it's underrated. I'm probably going to put it in B tier, below Abigail. But basically, just a gist of what this movie's about. Isabella Merced is the main lead, and she's playing this character who has severe, like, OCD and germophobia, like, just severe, to the point where, like, she can't do a lot of things. And the movie, like, starts off as like a kind of a cringe comedy, and so I was honestly not liking it in the beginning. I was like, it's not great. Like, it just wasn't great with the dialogue and stuff. I was like, where is this going? But I ended up really liking it because they actually had a lot of interesting conversations that this character has involving, like, essentially the idea of an illness like OCD and the level of germophobia she has. Like, it's extreme. Like, I'm talking, like, she was in the hospital at one point in the movie. She's freaking out, like, full on panic attack, like, to the extreme. And it shows how that affects your personal relationships with others, and, like, whether it's, romantic relationships or friendships, or even with, her mom, like, a lot of that. And, like, it affects a lot of her life, and it like does a great job at showing that. So I thought it was really good. I thought it was something that I think it was based on a book, I believe. And yeah, I thought it was worth watching. Like, I didn't think it would be, but it was good. I think I was annoyed with it because it has that, I don't know if you guys could agree with this, but a lot of movies nowadays, like high school, like movies like this, they always have the same trope of having the best friend in the movie, of like the best friend, the main character. They always got to be kind of annoying for some reason. I don't know why. And this movie felt that way in the first, like, 30 minutes, but honestly, that character started to grow on me later on. So I was like, maybe it's not that bad. But I don't know. I really liked the story they had going for it. So it was good. Ads are relentless on streams now. 30-second unskippable ads every 2 minutes. Wait, really? See, no, I have the ads on balanced, which means they shouldn't be like, so there's 3 options I have as a creator to what I want my ads to be. There's conservative, there's balanced, and there's aggressive. So conservative is lower earnings potential, but less uninterrupted viewer experience. So meaning I make less money, but also viewers are being interrupted less. And then aggressive is I'll make more money, but viewers are being interrupted more. So I'm like, okay, obviously it makes sense to put it on the balanced option where it's medium earnings potential, but also medium interrupted. You're not going to be interrupted too much. But every 2 minutes you're getting ads, that sounds insane. I don't know why that would happen. But I can promise you I can't do much about it. I'm sorry. I'm doing all I can by putting it on balanced. I guess technically I could put it on the other option, but the one that's less interrupted, but I thought balance made more sense, you know. So what'd you think of Legend? Oh, that 1985 movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was like I didn't think it was as good as I was hoping based on the aesthetic, because I think the aesthetic is what I loved more about it than anything, was just how incredible it looked, and like the set designs and the set pieces and the music, like all that was good. I just wasn't that interested in the story, so maybe that's the problem. I don't know. Okay, what movie was I talking about? Oh, Turtles All the Way Down. Yeah, good movie. I enjoyed it, but not much else to say about it. Oh yes, we get a terrible movie to talk about next. Tarot. I don't know how you pronounce that. One of the worst of the year, easily F tier. So this movie is, I would say it's like definition of like an introduction to horror. Like it's a PG-13 horror movie. It's a type that a lot of high schoolers would probably go to see. I'm sure a lot of high schoolers went to see this movie. But like there are so many better options when it comes to an intro to horror. Like if you really need an intro to horror, or like a, you know, PG-13 horror movie, there's like 1,000 better options out there. Like you're gonna choose tarot. This one, it was about like those tarot cards, which I didn't really understand what tarot cards meant. Like the movie kind of explains it, but kind of learned what it was in the movie. And honestly, they had like interesting concept there with like, you know, utilizing the creatures on some of the cards in the movie, but like it's kind of just not done enough, you know. And most of the scares are like off screen, or they're like forced jump scares, and then like the character dies, and then you don't see what happens because it's PG-13, so they can't show anything. Terrible dialogue. Just, I don't know. It's one of those movies. You know what I'm talking about. Like I don't think anybody. I haven't seen a single person say this movie was good. Maybe someone out there likes it, and I'm not saying you can't like it. I just haven't seen it. So, are you gonna watch Baby Girl? I don't have a specific like plan to see it, but I might end up seeing it. Who knows? All right, I don't really have much else to say about Tarot though, because that was not very good. Okay, now we get a movie I literally watched like 2 days ago, and I watched it yesterday. Did I watch it yesterday? I think I watched it yesterday. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago. The Fall Guy. So this was actually pretty solid. Like I really liked it. And I wasn't like that into it in the beginning. Well, I liked it in the beginning. I just wasn't like really into it. But there was a specific reveal at a certain point in the movie where I was suddenly like, okay, yeah, I'm on board now. Like this is a really interesting story. But the action was a fantastic throughout the entire movie. It's a really fun movie. It's basically just about this stuntman. The whole movie's a love letter to like stunt production, you know, stunt work in films. Basically, that's the whole movie. But it's about this character who's a stuntman, and he's trying to impress this girl who's directing this movie. And they used to have like a fling at one point, so they're kind of like, he's trying to like get back in with her and like impress her in different ways. And so he tries to, you know, he ends up joining the movie again as a stuntman, but he ends up getting involved in like some stuff that he's not supposed to be involved in. I don't want to spoil it, because if you haven't seen it, it's better to not know about some of those reveals. But this is great, so I'm gonna put it in A tier, probably right here. It's pretty high. We haven't got another S tier in a while, but we're gonna get there, trust me. But yeah, The Fall Guy was great. You got Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt. Really fun, great chemistry. Aaron Taylor Johnson's in it too. That was awesome. So, yeah, really big fan of that movie. You guys will be getting a reaction to it, by the way. If I can get it through the copyright system, which has been eating me up the past couple of weeks, if I can get it through, you'll be able to watch my reaction to The Fall Guy at some point in the next month or so. I don't know. but it's just copyright's been eating my butt lately, so it's just not it's not going well. It's not going well. But we'll see. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is interesting because I think I've liked this less over time the more I thought about it, but I still really love it. It's a solid movie. Like it's going in A tier right here, above Civil War. But I think it was just like in comparison to the other Apes movies, it's not nearly as good, which is unfortunate. But I was kind of expecting that because like the other Apes movies are just so good. Like freaking War for the Planet of the Apes, Dawn for the Planet of the Apes are some of my favorite movies ever. So it's hard competition, but I think it's a good start to a new era of Planet of the Apes movies. I hope they continue with these characters. I hope we get more stuff. I think we are. I think they've already confirmed that. I like pretty much everything about this movie. I just didn't like the ending. I thought the ending was kind of disappointing. Like I thought it ended in a bit of a way, but I'm still looking forward to whatever they do next. I just think they killed a lot of momentum that they were building up, and that's my main issue. But it's really good. I really like the main character, and he's not as good as Caesar, obviously. Still good though, and obviously it looks gorgeous. The mocap is fantastic in these Apes movies, so you're gonna get more of that here. Amazing. I have a crippling sugar addiction. You know, I feel like I did at one point in life, but I don't know. For some reason, sugar, just like a little too much of it, kind of just, I get sick of it after a little bit, you know? I just started watching Banshee. Oh, you know, Banshee is a movie, or not a movie, a series I've wanted to watch as well. I've heard about it with Anthony Starr, right? I probably will watch it one day. I'm not sure about if it would be for the channel or not, but I definitely would like to watch it. Okay, next up we have I Saw the TV Glow, which I had no clue what this movie was about when I first put it on. So I was like, not exactly sure what it was going to be about. And it ended up being a movie that genuinely, I'll be honest, I didn't fully get on the first watch. I watched a couple of videos on it after because I felt like I didn't get the whole scope of what it is. There is a lot of like, what's the word? Is it? I guess metaphor would be the word. Metaphors to being transgender. That's what the whole plot of. Oh my God. I think a bird just hit my window or a tree branch. I don't know. The main character, that's basically what it is about. Which I got that. I didn't need to look up a video to know that, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't really know what it was trying to say about that necessarily. But then I kind of got it when I looked into it more. And I thought it was a decent movie. I just didn't think it was great, though. Like, I didn't think it was fantastic. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people would get a lot out of this movie and would absolutely love it. And that's good. But for me, it wasn't something that I would necessarily think was, like, one of my favorites of the year. I'm probably going to put it in C tier, though. I'd say above The Beekeeper, because I think it had better like visuals than The Beekeeper. Like it looked pretty good as a movie. There's a couple of really cool set pieces that they did because it's very imaginative. But there's a lot of themes in the movie. Honestly, there's even some ones that involve like the creepiness of like your childhood shows, that's just an owl with your Hogwarts letter. That's what it fucking sounded like. Wait, could you guys hear it? Because like it was freaking loud. I don't know if anyone else can hear it. But like the movie was basically about like the perception of what your perception of things that change over time. So like there was a childhood TV show that the character liked a lot, and it will change as you get older. But the main relation that was trying to be towards was toward his perception of himself, right? In the movie. So yeah, really, really good in terms of its like ideas and stuff. I didn't really find it that entertaining. I was kind of bored for a lot of it, to be honest. So it wasn't really my kind of movie, but still liked it at the very least to put it in C tier. So it technically, people call it a horror movie, and I feel like there are moments that feel like that. I don't know. Would I call it a horror movie though? I don't know. All right. The Strangers Chapter 1. Yeah, that's going in F tier. This hurts too because I actually really thought it was going to be decent. Because the director was Rennie Harlin, and he's a good director. Like I've only seen good stuff from Rennie Harlin, I think, right? He did Die Hard 2. Well, I guess he did a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, but I don't think that's a bad movie. I just think it's not as good as the other Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it's decent though. Long Kiss Goodnight he did, Cliffhanger. He's a good director. But then he does this, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? It's a remake of the original Strangers, which I feel like already is a stupid idea, because why not just do like a new story completely, but with the Strangers concept? Like the Strangers Prey at Night, for example, was a sequel to the first Strangers, and that was really cool. It was new characters, but similar ideas, similar concept. Awesome. Why not do the same thing? Why did you have to remake the original? You didn't even remake the full thing. You just did a chapter 1, and he's planning a trilogy out of that? I don't think anyone is going to see chapter 2, because, I mean, I'll probably see it. I probably will, to be honest. I'll see it when it comes out on streaming, just for the, you know, to add it to my ranking of this year. But it was just, ugh, man, I don't know. It was just not good. You're being really rough on these movies. Maybe I am, but some of them deserve it. I'm sorry. Some of them deserve it. But trust me, there's gonna be better ones. This looks so bad. Like, it looks like I hate every movie from this year, but it's just the early parts of the year were kind of rough. But everything else here is like pretty good. So we'll get to better stuff. Trust me. Like Furiosa. Boom, there we go. Furiosa was fucking amazing. This was one of my favorites of the year. Definitely the best so far in the list, which might be a hot take that I prefer this over Dune Part 2. But here's the thing. Dune Part 2, I'm not as interested in the story. Furiosa, I was fully invested in the story. I was fully invested in Furiosa. I mean, not that I wasn't in Dune Part 2. I'm saying in comparison to Furiosa, not as much. And even though Dune Part 2 looks amazing, hot take, I think Furiosa looks better. I think it looks even better. Fucking gorgeous movie. George Miller is amazing at what he does. Beautiful visuals. The colors are incredible. The action scenes are incredible. I really liked the story they did here. It's a prequel for Furiosa, but it actually adds a lot to her character, makes her more interesting. Chris Hemsworth in this movie is outstanding. Gives one of the best performances he's ever. Actually, no, his best performance ever. So, yeah. This one is a phenomenal film. I've already talked about it quite a bit throughout this year. I did a review, and then I did obviously the top 10 of the year, and I talked about it there. But it's freaking amazing. It's one of my favorites of the year. It's not my favorite of the year. We have a couple others that I like more than it, but this one was phenomenal. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. If you liked Fury Road, you would like this. You would. Fury Road is better, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think it had to be better than Fury Road to still stand on its own. I would prefer a Fury Road 2. I kind of still want a Fury Road 2. Unfortunately, Furiosa did not do well in the theaters, though, which I don't get why. Like, why? Why did people not go to see Furiosa? I don't understand. It's fucking great. Great action. It's great for the theaters. You know, I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. It's too late. No one can go see it in the theaters anymore. But trust me, though, it's great. I don't really have much else to say about it. It's fantastic. Seems like a lot of you agree, but I think it's fantastic. Okay. What's next? Oh, Hitman. Oh, yo, I was not expecting to like it this much. I did not do a reaction to this. I watched this in my free time like last month, and I loved Hitman. Is it gonna go S tier though? Yeah, fuck it. It's going S tier. It's going bottom of S tier. So Hitman is about this character, Gary Johnson. I think that was his name. Played by Glenn Powell, which Glenn Powell is slowly becoming one of my favorite actors of the past, of like the modern era of movies. He's really good. But he plays a fake hitman who's pretending to be a hitman so he can capture criminals who are trying to get hitmen to do their dirty work, right? And he works for the police force and everything like that, right? But he ends up coming across this girl who's using it to, well, it's not really spoilers, it's just the plot of the movie, I guess, but she's trying to she wants a hitman for her abusive husband, right? So he sees it as like, okay, yes, she's doing something illegal clearly, but I'd rather just like try to push her in the direction to not do that, and then help her in other ways, and like, you know, not get her arrested, because that's what he was originally there for. And he ends up falling like kind of romantically involved with her, and obviously that creates a lot of problems because, you know, without spoiling it, there's a lot of things that happen afterwards, crazy shit. but it's a really good, like, it's really a rom-com, to be honest, because it is a comedy. There's a lot of funny moments, but then they have the romance in the movie. There's not like action. I thought it was going to be an action movie. I mean, come on, that poster looks like an action movie, but it's not. It's a great watch. Like, this is, if you're in a relationship and you want to watch something, this is a great, like, couples movie, like date night type movie. It's great for that. Perfect for that. Absolutely perfect for that. It's hilarious. And like I said, it's got like a good story. And Glenn Powell gives a hell of a performance because he's got to pretend. Forgot to mention this. One of the best parts of the movie is because he's a hitman, a pretend hitman. He does this whole thing where he pretends to be a different person based on the person he's speaking to. So like he kind of like changes his approach. So he's like completely different people and personalities. So psychologically, there's a lot of interesting conversations there about, like, you know, what a person needs to trust them, and like what kind of person you have to be to trust you. You know, I don't know. It's really interesting. Yeah, Fury also deserved a lot of awards. Don't know why it didn't get, like, seems like it's not gonna get much, right? Have you seen The Rookie? I have not. Director Richard Linklater did Hitman. He was the director of Dazed and Confused. Oh yeah, he was. Oh yeah, I knew he was the director of Hitman, but I actually totally forgot that he did Dazed and Confused as well, which is a movie I saw. Okay. Next up we have In a Violent Nature, which is kind of a shame because the concept of this was interesting, but it was completely just squandered by just complete boredom with the concept. So the movie's essentially from the perspective of the serial killer film. So it's like a slasher, but it's from the perspective of the slasher. And they don't stick with that though. Like, that's the one thing, like, it's kind of weird because they don't stick with that. Like, a lot of the movie is not from the perspective of the slasher at all. Like, most of it is, but a lot of it isn't. So I thought that was interesting how they didn't even stick to their own gimmick. Regardless, when they do stick to it, it's very freaking boring, because watching a slasher walk around the woods for 5 to 10 minutes at a time is not particularly that interesting, I will say. The one reason it's not an F tier and why it's in D tier is because the kills are actually really good. So whenever there is kills, it's really good. But whenever there's not kills, I'm bored out of my mind and I want it to end. But there's one kill, everyone was calling it the yoga kill, because it's like this girl's doing yoga and he kills her while she's doing yoga. But it's one of the best kills of the year for sure. I don't know if it's the best kill of the year though, because Terrifier 3 exists, so it can't have the best kill of the year. But it's pretty good. It had good kills. But honestly, like, I'll never say this about any other movie, but this is the one movie where I think it's better you just skip to the kills and then you don't watch the rest of the movie. Like, I'll never say that about most movies because I think that's so anti-art to say. But like, this is one example. I'm like, I don't know. If you don't have the time to watch the whole movie and you want to see the kills, it's not that big of a deal. You can go watch the kills. All right. Next up, I have The Watchers, which I was so excited to see this. And I usually don't let this stop me from seeing a movie in theaters. But the reviews for it were so bad that I didn't want to see in theaters anymore. I was like, I'm already so busy when the movie came out, and I was like, am I gonna go rush to the theaters to see it for a movie that's getting terrible reviews across the board? No. So I didn't see it in theaters. Saw it later on streaming, and yeah, people were right. It's not very good, which is unfortunate. It's M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's first movie, Ishana Night Shyamalan, and I always want to, you know, like, if someone's first movie, you want to, like, you know, encourage them to do what they can with it. And I think she has talent. Like, she definitely, it's not, the movie's problem isn't really like how it looks or anything. Like, it looks good. I just don't think the story was interesting. I don't think there was any tangible plot lines that genuinely got me like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's no, I just didn't care. I tried. I really did. I tried hard, but it has promise. It looks good. I believe, is it Ellie Fanning in it, or is it Ellie or Dakota Fanning? Dakota Fanning. They're like basically twins. They look very similar. Well, obviously they're sisters, but you know, it just wasn't very good. But I do hope she makes more movies in the future, because I think you could always improve on things. And she probably wrote it. I'm not really sure if she did or not, but regardless, like, there's always improvements someone can make. So I hope she can get another chance at making something, and I'm sure she will. But yeah, that's where I'm putting the Watchers. We have a lot more to go through though. Holy shit. But honestly, there's a lot in here that are like going to be highly rated. So even though again, it looks like we're really low with the movies, this S tier is going to be filled up by the time we're done. Trust me. There's going to be a lot more there. Okay. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick because I've been drinking a lot of water. So it's inevitable. But I'll just leave this on the screen for now. I'll be right back. Hopefully no birds hit the window while I'm out. I'm back. I should probably get some like music in the background of these streams. I'm not gonna do that today, but I feel like it'll be a good idea because whenever I use the bathroom, like at least someone could have something to listen to, you know, some non-copyright background music. I have a nature or oatmeal crumble apple whole grain fruit bar. I don't know. It looks good. A girly friend gave me this. I'll probably have it soon because I'm kind of hungry. Like the stream if you like the stream. I agree. Fippy Whip has a good point. All right, let's get to it. Okay. I recommend A Real Pain by Jesse Eisenberg. Oh, I was gonna see that at an early premiere, and then I decided not to, unfortunately. So I should watch it, but I don't know why I decided not to. I think because it was pretty far, and I was like, can't really afford the trip right now. All right. Next up, Bad Boys Ride or Die, which I promise the reaction to this will be on YouTube really soon. It is going through copyright hell as are most of my videos right now. It's fucking terrible. But Bad Boys Ride or Die is gonna go in the I'm thinking either bottom of S or top of A. I'm gonna go top of A. I think top of A is fair. I do think it is my least favorite Bad Boys movie, but that is saying a lot because it's still amazing. The Bad Boys franchise genuinely might be one of my favorite franchises ever because it's so consistent. All four of the movies are phenomenal. Like I loved all four of them. So Bad Boys Ride or Die is no different. Very entertaining. The directing was insane. There were some shots in this movie that blew my mind. So when you see my reaction, I was freaking out for some of those shots. There's like the POV shot. It's like really good action scenes. It's hilarious as always. I mean, Mike and Marcus, probably some of the best, funniest characters in movie history, in my opinion. So yeah, I love this movie. Definitely my top 10 of the year. But I feel like A makes sense just because it's like, to me, it's the worst Bad Boys movie. So I can't put it in S, but it's close. It's close for sure. Okay. I'm kind of itchy. What's next? Inside Out 2. Okay, so I loved the first Inside Out. Like, genuinely one of my favorite animated movies of all time. Probably one of my favorite, it's in my top 100 movies for all time as well, but for animation purely, it's definitely like top 5. So Inside Out 2 I was kind of excited for because of that, and I ended up liking it quite a bit. I don't think it's incredible, it's not as good as the first, but it's pretty good. I think B tier sounds good for that. It adds a couple new emotions in there. Anxiety is one of them, and that's like the main focus of the movie, is like Riley's anxiety, and I think that was cool. It's a cool direction. There was a couple scenes that I actually was laughing my ass off, which I thought was funny because, like, you know, a mostly made for kids animated movie in 2024, I just wasn't expecting it to make me laugh that much, but it did. Forget which joke was it. It was a joke with it was like the handyman. I forget what it was called, but like you know what I mean? Like, it was like a children's like cartoon thing. I forget what you guys know what I'm talking about. And then the freaking anger guy like shoved his hand in the guy's throat. I don't know, it was hilarious, but I just, besides the point, I thought it was funny. And then there was another scene with like a video game character, and he was doing this funny role. I don't know. I was actually laughing more than I thought I would. But it was pretty good. It was underrated. I keep saying underrated, but what I mean is I was surprised that it was good. That's what I mean. Because underrated doesn't really mean that. Underrated means it's better than other people give it. But I think most people did like this movie, right? All right. Okay, let's see what's next. Kinds of Kindness. Yeah, this is a weird one because I just, it was not for me, and it hurt because I know this is like a director a lot of people like cherish as like one of the best directors of the past couple years. I think his name is Yorgos Lanthimos or something. I haven't seen Poor Things yet. I know he did Poor Things, but he did Kinds of Kindness this year, and it's one of those movies where it's like 3 different stories in one, sort of. It's an anthology, I guess you would call it. But the issue with it is that, like, the second I actually start getting invested in the characters and the story of that anthology, it ends. The second I get interested. So it's like they don't have enough time with them to allow me to get interested. And I just don't think the movie did its job because of that. And I don't know, the stories are like really absurd, but like not in a way that worked for me personally. So I don't know. For me, I didn't really like this movie too much. I don't think it was bad. It sounds like I'm saying it's terrible, but it really wasn't. It was still well made. It had really, really, really good shots that looked amazing. So I'm gonna put it in C tier still. I just think for what it should have been, because of everyone saying the director's like insanely good, I don't know. C tier is fitting though. Like, I wouldn't say it's a bad movie by any means. That's not what I would say. I'm gonna have some of this was it fig bar? I'm gonna have some of this bar. Because like I said, I'm hungry. I'll take little bites at a time, though. Not too much. Okay. A Quiet Place Day 1. So, similar to a lot of movies on this list, actually, like Bad Boys, it's my least favorite of the franchise that it's in, but it's still amazing. It's still really good. I'm going to put it B tier, probably above Ministry of Legitimately Warfare. Yeah. So it's a prequel. Like, a lot of prequels came out this year. I just realized the first Omen, Furiosa. But yeah, it's a prequel to A Quiet Place in the sense that it takes place during the first day of the apocalypse. Different characters. It doesn't use the characters from the first 2 movies. But it was really good. It takes place in New York City. And the one thing that I was like disappointed in with the movie is that it didn't have anything to do with like how the outbreak started or any of that. But it's like, I didn't really care in the end because I was like, okay, the story itself was actually kind of like nice what they did. It's literally just this character wants to get a slice of pizza because she's probably going to die, or we're probably all going to die, but her more than anyone because of her own illness. So it's just about them trying to get a slice of pizza. I think it's such a simple story, but it works really well. And it somehow makes really high stakes, even if the goal is not that high stakes of a goal. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed it. Not as good as the other 2 A Quiet Place movies, but I still thought it did its job. You know, it did its job. You should be eating Wagyu. You're a big YouTube channel. You're bringing in the big bucks. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't talk about how much money I make, but it's not big bucks. I'll tell you that. It's really not. I appreciate everything I have, but it's not like I'm not gonna go into it. I don't think I should, but it's not like, especially with all the copyright issues and stuff that comes with the channel like this. There's a lot of, it's not as much as people would assume based on the amount of subscribers. Trust me, whatever. Let's continue the movies. Okay. This isn't my dinner though, by the way. It's not this is not like my dinner. That comment is like sounding like this is a replacement for my dinner or something. It's just a little snack. Is it your career? I'm not gonna use the word career because I'm still kind of young, so it's like I'm still kind of figuring that out. You know, I'm not like fully decided on what I want to do for the rest of my life, sort of a thing. But it is my main source of income in this moment, yeah. So I'm not saying I make nothing. I'm just saying it's not the extent that, like, I couldn't make it a career right now. Like, if I wanted to, maybe I could if I wasn't planning to like have a family and stuff. But like, for what I want out of life, I can't. It's not enough. But regardless, that's, you know, like in this day and age, at least, like with how prices are nowadays and how expensive stuff is, it's like, no, it's not. It wouldn't allow me to do that successfully unless it went higher. But it's the thing about YouTube, is it's very inconsistent. I'm not going to go on a tangent about this for too long. I just wanted to mention it real quick because you're asking. But it's like with YouTube income, it's very dependent on the month. So some months are really good. Like December of last month was great for me. I was actually making a lot, right? But then like a month before that, maybe it wasn't so good. I don't remember if it was or not, but like it could be really, really low. So you can go from making like a lot of money one month to the next month making like nothing. It just depends on the views that you're getting. It really depends on the watch time. It depends on all of that, all the, you know, factors that play into your revenue. And it's kind of sometimes not something you have control over. So that's what makes it frustrating. It's like you could post as much as you want, but if the videos aren't hitting, then they're not hitting, right? So you're just gonna basically how it works, right? So regardless, side tangent over. All right, Maxine. Wait, we finished talking about the movie we were just talking about, right? What movie were we just talking about? I think we did. Oh, A Quiet Place, right? I don't know. Regardless, I think we finished talking about whatever we were talking about. Okay, Maxine. We are about halfway through the list, I think, because I think Maxine came out in July. So it was like halfway through the year. But Maxine, I don't know. I really like this franchise, but I think Maxine was the weakest of all of them. Like, I think X was a bit better. I think Pearl was definitely better. Maxine, I think just, I don't know. It had the purpose of the movie wasn't clear to me. Like, I wasn't sure why it needed to exist the way it did. There was moments I really liked. I love the aesthetic. I love the atmosphere of it. The music was good. Obviously, oh my God, I'm forgetting her name. How am I forgetting her name? Mia Goth. She was fantastic in it. Like, that was a no-brainer, but it wasn't my favorites. I wish it was a bit better, but I'm still going to put it in C tier, I think. Top of C, or maybe it doesn't deserve B. I don't know. I'm going to say top of C. I wished it was a lot better, though. Like, I think it was a bit disappointing for what I was hoping it was going to be, but it was still good. Which Nosferatu movie did you see already? Oh, I saw the one from the 1920s. Did not see the one from the 70s, no. And I watched it a couple months ago, I think. Okay. But yeah, that was Maxine. Just didn't like it as much as I was hoping. Long Legs, okay. Long Legs, despite being not nearly as scary as the internet was saying it was going to be, I didn't really give a shit because I still thought it was really damn good. It was really eerie, which helps quite a bit because I think eeriness is actually better than scariness. Like, I think eerie and scary are different words, because like scary is more so like, I don't, it's kind of like hard to explain, but I feel like those words mean different things. Because like when I think of eerie, I think of like unsettling. Like it's just kind of like, like this just kind of makes me feel weird, you know? Where scary is like you're like shivering, like you're like terrified, right? A little bit different. And I think this movie provided the eerie unsettlingness more than anything. It wasn't really like scaring you every 5 seconds. It was just kind of like, oh, this is a really unsettling movie. Like you always kind of feel like something's wrong. But it was really good. I thought the main lead, Micah Monroe, she was really great. I thought Osgood Perkins' directing was really good. Nicolas Cage, obviously, as the main like villain, was great. I mean, the few scenes he wasn't in a lot of it, I guess, but when he was there, it was really good. I think the one thing I wished it stayed as a serial killer movie and didn't try to go into the whole supernatural satanic route. I kind of think that side of it kind of like, I don't know. I like the idea of him like worshiping Satan. That's fine, like as a concept, but I didn't want it to really like get supernatural though, and it kind of did a little bit. So I don't know. I wasn't too crazy about that, but everything else was really good. I think it could have been S tier though. It had potential to be one of the better horror movies of the year, but I think it was it was one of the better horror movies of the year, but not like, you know what I mean? Like it could have been S tier, but it's just those few things kind of stopped it from being that. Okay. This is so good, by the way. Oh my goodness. It's like apple oatmeal. Oh my goodness. I think apple is one of the best flavors for anything, you know? But I don't like apple juice though. But like an apple like pie, oh my goodness. Oh! Apple cookies. You ever had apple cookies before? See, we're getting more A and B tiers in here. Look, it's starting to look like a much better list, you know? We need more S tiers though. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Oh, I definitely should see that, yeah. Okay. What's up next? Ooh, Twisters. Okay. Apologies, I just had to eat that. It was too good. Twisters is going S tier, for sure. This might even shock some people for this, but I'm putting it above Doom. I know, it's crazy to say, but I thought it was a fantastic movie. It was like the best way to show how terrifying tornadoes are. Just absolutely horrifying. Every single scene that they were in, like the sound design was so good. The spectacle of it was so good. The characters were great. I really thought there were a lot of good chemistry, especially between Daisy Edgar Jones. That's oh my goodness. I'm always forgetting their names, but it was Daisy Edgar Jones. Yes, it was. Okay. And Glenn Powell. Fantastic. I think it's better than the first Twister. I think the original Twister movie. Like 100%. What's the brand name of what you're eating? Nature's Bakery Organic. Really good. But yeah, Twisters is phenomenal. I don't know how much. It's one of those movies. I feel like I would like it less if I watched it at home, but that theater experience was phenomenal. Like that was one of the best theater experiences I've had in a while. And it was funny because like I went to one of those Q&A screenings, but it wasn't a Q&A where they were in person. It was like a live stream Q&A, and that kind of pissed me off because the Q&A went on for like an hour. It's like an hour-long Q&A before the movie. I was like, oh my god, can we just watch the movie already, man? There were so many like live stream technical problems with it, and I was like, respectfully, Glenn Powell, you're awesome, but I need to watch the movie, man. I'm like, I gotta go. Like, I can't be here for. I didn't realize it would be that long, and or whatever. Really enjoyed it though. I don't think it was like an hour, but it was at least more than 30 minutes for sure. So it kind of was just quite a process. All right, My Spy, The Eternal City. So I don't think a lot of people have seen this because I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about it. But I saw the first My Spy movie in 2020. It came out in 2020, and it's starting Dave Bautista. He's just kind of like playing this. Well, he's a spy. And he was going undercover, and he kind of falls for this girl, and then this girl has this daughter, or he ends up kind of like becoming a fatherly figure to her daughter. And then in the sequel, they're back again. And I think it's kind of a meh movie in a lot of aspects, but I really like what they do with the relationship between Dave Bautista and the daughter. Like, there's a really good bond there, and a couple of really like emotional moments that they do, that to the point where honestly it's not that bad. I put it in C tier. Like, it was a decent movie, underrated, because I don't think a lot of people liked it, for the people who did see it, but I thought it was fine. Straight to streaming, I believe. I don't think it was in theaters, but I'd say I think the first movie was worth watching. I don't know if I'd say the second one was, but those emotional moments that they had in the movie, I thought kind of allowed the movie to have some purpose to it. Otherwise, I probably would have put it in D tier. It doesn't feel like a sequel that should exist, but I don't know. Okay. Next up is Oddity, and I really wish I liked this movie. I unfortunately just didn't. Like, I thought I would. I don't hate it. Again, just because I say I don't like it doesn't mean I hated it. But I just didn't care a lot for it, I guess. Like, it's one of those movies where, technically speaking, it was really good looking. Like, there's a lot of cool imagery, but I was bored out of my freaking mind watching this movie. And boredom is an important aspect in rating movies. If I feel like I'm going to fall asleep every 2 seconds, then there's something wrong with the movie, especially when I'm watching it in the middle of the day. But I know a lot of people liked Oddity, so again, I respect it if you did, but it wasn't for me. It's still C tier. It's not like it's terrible or anything, but C tier is fine. From your experience, has streaming movies been better than theater movies this past year? No, not at all. No, there's not many streaming movies that I would say are better than movies in the theaters. Because even just looking at it now, the only movies here that were straight to streaming. Well, Hitman, was that straight to streaming? I saw it when it was on streaming, but I don't know if it was in theaters at all. I remember it going to Netflix like in June though, so it must have been on streaming for a while. But then I know all these other movies here were in the theaters. So yeah, not a lot of straight to stream movies that I put that high, to be honest. So I would say no, theaters are better. Deadpool and Wolverine. So if you guys have seen my ranking of the year, you already know where I'm going to put this. I honestly, like, if I was ranking the Marvel movies, like just MCU, I wouldn't put an S tier. It would probably be an A tier. But because I'm ranking these like in comparison to each other, I feel like I'm going to have to give it S tier, right? Because that's usually how I do rankings. It's more, it's a comparison towards each other. It's based on what the list is. And Deadpool Wolverine, I thought was really good. I know there are a lot of flaws with it, and I'll admit yes, there is. It is got some terrible set pieces in a couple of scenes that look really cheap. The like desert scenes looked pretty bad visually. Some of the stuff they do when it comes to like cameos feel a little tiny bit forced. Most of it was great though. Like, that's the thing. I think when you're judging movies, it can't just be on the flaws. I think some people do that. They rank movies purely based on how many bad things are like in these movies. Like Dune Part 2 has no flaws in my opinion. Pretty much no flaws. But I still would prefer Deadpool Wolverine because I think the positives for me were a little bit higher. I felt like I got more out of it, just, which is crazy to say, but I did. I thought the concept of it worked for me. I thought the like towards the end of the movie, when it comes to when they like brought everything together with Deadpool and Wolverine, in that, I don't want to spoil stuff, but I feel like most of you have probably seen it. But you know, when they're in the giant reactor room and they're holding hands, you know what I'm talking about. There's stuff like that stuff was really good. The fight scenes were great. Pretty much all of them were great. The cameos, the ones that didn't feel forced, which there were a lot of them that honestly felt like good, like they were actually good fan service that like kind of added to the movie. I got a lot out of that, and it was hilarious. One of the funniest movies of the year. So I was on board with it all the way through, and ended up being one of my favorites of the year. But I think, and I made this pretty clear, my top 10 of the year, I think this is a movie that could definitely fall off after a rewatch. That happened with Spider-Man No Way Home. I rewatched Spider-Man No Way Home, didn't like it as much, and I dropped it quite a bit on my rankings. So that could happen. I don't want to rewatch it anytime soon, but whenever I do, it might drop. It probably will, but I can't drop it without rewatching it. So, we'll see. We'll see. I have no idea. I really don't, but it could drop. I think the theater experience was obviously a big part of why I loved it. So Hitman played in select theaters for a week before making its Netflix debut. That's how some Netflix originals work, so they can be considered for awards. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Okay. All right. That's all I got to say about that. Now we got M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, which this is a very divisive movie because I saw a lot of people hating this movie and then a lot of others loving it. It was probably one of the more divisive movies of the year. Like, it was split down the middle for who liked it and who didn't like it. And I was in the category of someone who actually really liked it, like, quite a bit. Probably gonna put it in B tier though. It's not one of my favorite M. Night movies. I think there's much better M. Night movies out there, but I loved Josh Hartnett's performance here. Like, this was incredible. What he was doing with the role. It's essentially this movie where the police force are trying to capture this killer, serial killer, and they know he's at this concert, but they don't know where he is or what he looks like. So they try to set up this whole thing where they're gonna try to find where he is exactly based on the little limited information they have. And so he's trying to find a way to escape because he can't sit and talk to the police because they could get him captured. So he essentially just tries everything he can to get out of there. And it's really entertaining movie, like extremely entertaining from start to finish. So really enjoyed it. It's a really good looking movie. M. Night is a fantastic director, and I'm tired of people shitting on this man because they're like, oh, his dialogue is not good. But it's like, I don't think his dialogue's bad. I just think he has a very interesting style to his dialogue. Like, it's very different and otherworldly in a sense, but it's not bad. Campy is a word you can use, maybe. I don't know. Just my opinion. Oh yeah, some people were saying she looks like do you pronounce it Mikey Madison? Or it's not Mickey Madison, is it? Or is it Mikey? I don't know. But yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Deadpool and Wolverine and No Way Home are made to be event movies. Smaller scale movies tend to be easier to rewatch. That's true. Like, they're not going to be as good on rewatch, but I wish they would make those event movies a little bit better though, because No Way Home, I liked it a lot less on a rewatch. So I'm so worried that'll happen to Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel like it will, but I don't know. Maybe it won't happen. Who knows? Like, Avengers Endgame is an event movie that did not get worse on rewatch. I loved Avengers Endgame even more on rewatch. So I don't know. All right. Cuckoo. I recently watched this actually because it was I think it was on Hulu. I was gonna see it in theaters, but again, there's so many. I could tell you like 1,000 movies where I was gonna see in theaters and then I end up not being able to see in theaters. Whatever. But I think the problem with this movie is that it takes so long to get into it. Like, there's a big hour long intro. It takes a while for you to finally get into the actual good stuff, because the last bit of the movie is actually pretty good. So I would say it's probably a C tier for me. Yeah, probably above Oddity. Like, it had some good stuff, some good scares, but I don't know. Maybe I would like them more if I saw it in theaters, but I don't think so. I think for what it was good. It stars Hunter Schaffner, is her name? Schaffer? But yeah, she's pretty good in it. He definitely surprised the hell out of everyone with The Sixth Sense. Oh yeah, I mean, that was probably his best movie. Or do I like Signs more than The Sixth Sense? I don't know. Signs and The Sixth Sense are definitely his best too, but it's kind of hard to say which one I like more. But yeah, okay. That's Cuckoo. Don't have much to say about Cuckoo. Alien Romulus, I've talked about this movie so much, but I mean, yeah, it's my favorite of the year. Putting it in that glorious S tier. And There we go. Yeah, I mean it's S tier. I thought it was like the perfect Alien movie. It like perfected on pretty much anything you can do with that concept. Just amazing looking film, one of the best visually, like one of the best, some of the best visuals of the year when it comes to a movie. Fede Alvarez is great with that. The gore is great. The creature design is great with the xenomorphs. They look amazing. The practical effects are amazing. The set pieces are amazing. The cast is amazing, especially Kaylee Spaney. The end third act was insane with, you know what I'm talking about. That third act, that was insane. The only issue I have with the movie is there's a couple of fan service callbacks that I think were unnecessary, but that's literally it. That's it. And that's not enough to take it out of my number one spot. It's not enough. So Alien Romulus, don't want to talk about it too much today because like I said, I already talked about it a lot in some other videos, but it is phenomenal. And I think most people agree with that. There are some people that didn't like it because of those things I mentioned with like the fan service. But I don't think just because there's a couple of flaws, it's not going to ruin the movie. If I loved every other minute of it, then it's not a big deal. Some of the coolest, I like the face huggers in that movie were fucking awesome. Like that whole scene, oh man, I want to see it again. I haven't rewatched it since the theaters, but I really, really want to rewatch it because it was great. It was great. Okay, Beetlejuice. I actually like just watched this a couple days ago, and I watched it when I was really sick, but I was debating on doing a reaction, and I was like, I didn't do a reaction to the first one, and I looked at other reactions, and I was like, I don't know if anyone's gonna want to watch me react to this. I'm sure some people would have, but I can't react to everything, unfortunately. I just can't. Like, I can't do it. It's impossible to react to everything. So I decided I would just watch this on my own, and I actually had a good time with it. I thought it's even better than the original. More fun. There's more Beetlejuice in it, so that's positive. There's more like unique set designs in the Beetlejuice world. There's really cool creature designs in the Beetlejuice world too. It's actually kind of funny. Like there's genuinely a lot of good humor to it. I like the story more too. Jenna Ortega's character played a great role in the story. So I'm gonna put this bottom of B tier, I think. Yeah, it looks good to me. Bottom of B tier. Yeah, starting to get a lot more A's and S's and stuff. It's looking better. It's looking better. I wish I saw an IMAX. Oh, Alien Romulus. Yeah, I had to see that in IMAX, so I did. I'm becoming like addicted to IMAX. Like I don't want to see movies that aren't in IMAX anymore. Just like IMAX or Dolby. That's all I want to see them in. Speak No Evil. All right, this movie surprised the hell out of me. I really, really loved Speak No Evil. I'm putting this right over here in A tier. Speak No Evil is a remake of, I believe, a Danish film from like 2 years ago or something. And, you know, I think the idea of it being remade was kind of stupid because it's like, okay, that movie just came out. Why would you remake it so soon? But I've heard from people who have seen the original, I haven't seen the original, that some people prefer this version. So I don't know. I'm sure I'll watch the original at one point, but I thought it was really good. I don't want to spoil it because talking too much about it will easily spoil it because it's got a really good plot. But it's basically like these characters, this family, they're on this vacation and they become friends with another family, and the family starts acting really weird. And I can't go into specifics, but they act really weird. And holy shit, man. James McAvoy gives one hell of a performance. He was so like, there was like so many uncomfortable scenes that I was like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? What is he doing? I loved it. I really did. I'm sure I'll watch the original for sure. But I really, really love this one. And I heard it's a little different though. Like there's some things that they changed. So it's not like the exact same at least. But I really loved it. I really did. So definitely one of my favorites of the year. Well, I think it's my favorite horror movie. It's my favorite horror movie that isn't Alien Romulus of the year. Oh, we got Uglies. So Uglies I watched on the plane when I was headed to Mexico. So like I said before, a lot of times when I watch a movie on the plane, it's kind of hard to get like a full experience when you're watching it, but I gotta judge it for what it is. And to be completely honest, which this might be surprising because I'm sure a lot of people thought this movie was terrible. I know a lot of people like didn't even bother watching it because it looked so bad, which it does look very bad. I didn't hate it. I'm still going to put it in D tier. but I didn't think it was like awful. Like I don't think it was worthy of F tier necessarily. It's a dystopian like world where people are kind of like classed based on their attractiveness in a sense, and you can like you're higher class. If you're higher class, you get like plastic surgery and you become like better looking. But there's this whole like plot line about like what that company's actually doing and why they're doing it, and I thought it was pretty interesting, to be honest. It's just it's a very like what's the word, schlocky movie. I don't know, like it's one of those, you know what I mean. It's very just cringy. I don't know, there's a lot of words you can use to describe it, but I still had fun watching it. It was still entertaining. I was still invested in it, so I got to give it some credit despite not being that well made, you know what I mean. Hate the original, speak no evil, but love the remake. See, that's interesting. Some people say the original is better, some people say the remake was better. Interesting. I gotta watch it because I'm curious to see how I would feel. Without saying much, definitely differences but similar. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check it out. All right, next up, Transformers 1. Now, I do have a reaction to this, which it's probably going to be a long time before I'm able to post it because it's a Paramount movie, and Paramount is giving me a lot of trouble right now for other movies and other shows and stuff. So I need to figure that out first and hope for the best. But I did do a reaction to it, and it was really solid. I don't think it's like one of the best of the year, but I think it's definitely a B tier. Very, very good animated movie. One of the better like non-Pixar animated movies I've ever seen, to be honest. So I wasn't expecting much out of it because the trailers looked awful. Like every time I saw a trailer for it, I was like, this just doesn't look good at all. But it ends up actually having a pretty good and mature storyline to it. And like it's one of the better Transformers movies, to be honest. It's a prequel for the characters. I couldn't really tell if it was meant to be like in the same universe as the Michael Bay movies. I don't think it really mattered, but it's a prequel for Optimus, Bumblebee, and Megatron, and kind of showing like this whole story about on Cybertron, like this other leader that was there before, and what he was doing to a lot of the different Transformers there by not allowing them to become Transformers, to kind of put them to work for his own gain. And there's a good storyline there, and then it ends up actually having a lot of like good animation to it, to be honest. Like I thought it looked great. Like again, the trailers did not present that at all. The trailers made it seem like it was going to be a like childish humor animated movie that was meant for like, you know, straight to Nickelodeon type of movie. Like that's what it looked like. That's what I thought it was going to be, but it really wasn't. It was pretty good. Really good, actually. I definitely would say give it a chance if you haven't seen it. If you're a fan of Transformers, if you're a fan of the animated Transformer stuff, definitely watch it because it's very similar to that. But yeah, I liked it quite a bit. Glad I did a reaction to it. Okay. We are finally to the substance, which I know someone was asking. They were like, when are you going to rank the substance? We are here now. And I want to make you wait 2 seconds because I got to blow my nose. Okay. So, where's the substance going? I'm going to put it... I'm going to say A tier below the... I didn't like it more than the first Omen. I didn't, but it's still going to go A tier. I think it deserves A tier. It was really good. It's one of the better looking movies of the year. Visuals were outstanding. Directing was outstanding. Music was outstanding. The story itself, I think my only issue with the movie, and I think it was purposeful. I don't think there's anything like wrong with this necessarily. It's just wasn't my preference. I think some of the themes about like the beauty standards and how like society will view like people aging, I like those themes. I don't like how, you know, what they were presented as, but I just don't think the execution was as good as I was hoping, because a lot of it was in your face. Like they had the characters being like purposefully very like, it was by design. Like the characters would very specifically like say things that are basically leading you to 100% understand what the theme of the movie is. Like, you cannot go out of this movie not fully understanding that. And I just didn't think it needed to do that. I think the movie could have worked just fine with making the interactions a little more organic. But regardless, it didn't really change the fact that it's still a really well-made movie. And I really like the story. And yeah, I have a reaction to it that I'm trying to post to YouTube, but YouTube is just killing me with the copyrights. Well, YouTube's not doing it. It's the companies that, whatever. You guys know copyright. It's a pain in the ass. I might do a whole stream actually really soon about that, because I feel like I need to just air out some stuff about copyright and why it's just so frustrating, and why it's honestly, it's like lowering my ability to, I could be posting a movie reaction per day probably. I'm not even kidding. I could probably get out like a movie reaction per day, and you guys would have so much more videos. But YouTube, the system that it has, I get constantly targeted with copyright, and it just kills the ability to do that, because then I have to re-edit the video, and then it takes like an hour to do that, to like render it again, and then I can't do other videos while it's rendering. So it's such a pain in the ass. And the Substance is giving me a lot of issues. Any modern, like current movie will usually give me more copyright issues. Regardless, that's besides the point. Great movie. Deserves A tier for sure. Where's the Substance going? It went to the tissue. Hell yes. Hell yes, it did. The Substance seemed gross. Is that weird of me to say? Well, it had a lot of gore for sure. I would say it was tasteful gore though. Like, it wasn't like too much. Well, except for the end. I think that was a little bit extravagant, but I liked it though. So I don't really care. The Substance is the best movie and horror movie of 2024 for me. Loved that Demi won that Golden Globe. I'm hoping she wins the Oscar next, which would be a huge win. Yeah, she had a great performance in it. Same with Margaret Qualley. They did fantastic. Fantastic. Definitely deserves A tier. Okay. Ooh, Megaflopolis. Oh, yes, my favorite. This was one of the weirdest movies I've ever watched in my entire life. Like, I genuinely thought it was a joke when I was watching it. Like, I was like, what is happening? I don't know. I don't know if anyone out there like thinks this is like a brilliant movie, because I'm sure people do, but I just can't see it. Now, I am going to give it credit though and put it in D tier instead of F tier, because at least it's like an interesting vision from a director who's really passionate about it, and you could tell this passion behind it, and there's a really good cast there too. Like, there's stuff to love. It's just like, what the fuck was I watching? Like, does anyone else see this movie? Please tell me, because I don't, like, oh my god, it's so bizarre. And maybe that's like, it got me to conversate about it, got me to talk about it. So I think that is at least worth the price of admission, is all that just insanity that the movie was. But I just don't think it was very good though, you know? Very boring in a lot of points too. But the concept of like a Roman Empire in modern day New York, it's a great concept, but like, and they implemented it in a really weird way, you know, that just, I don't think worked. And it was Francis Ford. I don't want to say his name, because last time I mispronounced it, people were getting pissed at me. We're getting so pissed at me. I'm like, sorry, because like it's I think it's pronounced. Is it Coppola or Coppola? Because I met someone with the same last name, right? And it was pronounced Coppola. So I don't know if that's, I don't know. Regardless, besides the point. What's up, Marcus? How you doing? Legit never heard of it till yesterday. Well, now you're hearing about it again, and yeah, it's not very good. Don't have much else to say about it other than that. Adam Driver was funny in it. There was some like unintentionally funny moments, so I'll give it that. Like, that's cool, fine, you know. It made me laugh because it was so ridiculous. All right, next up, the movie that deserves so much but gets so little, Joker Folie à Deux. I'm probably not saying that right, but this movie is going in the S tier. I mean, I'm sure if you've seen my top 10 movies of the year, you would already know how I feel about this movie, or if you've seen my 2 reviews on it. But yeah, it's going there. And I kind of want to talk about this one for a little bit more than the other movies, even though I've already talked about it a lot, but I feel like it deserves the time of day. It deserves it. So I love the first Joker film. It's my favorite movie probably of all time. And the The sequel came out. I was, I didn't like the idea that it was announced to be a musical. I was like, it could work. Who knows? But I ended up kind of just being like, okay, maybe that could work. Maybe that will be fine. Maybe it'll be interesting. And I think it makes sense. Like, a lot of people act like it doesn't make sense. They're like, oh, this is a terrible concept. Why would they turn this into a musical? But when you actually think about it, right? First of all, Arthur in the first movie dances a lot. He's frequently dancing, usually when he's in a highly stressful moment, like after he kills someone. He usually just dances. And then he even dances to a lot of songs towards the end of the movie. And then he starts singing a song at the very, very end. So there's a lot of music in Arthur already, right? So in the sequel, he ends up just showing that off a little bit more with the singing. Now, the reason that works is because him and Harley kind of have this like connection where like she introduces him to music being like a great way to like escape and put on like a show almost. And they're doing that in their minds for the most part. Not all of it is like real, but it really works though, I think some of the musical moments weren't that great. Like, I think they could have been more extravagant. They really weren't. Some of them were great though. Besides that though, the story itself, a lot of people don't like the fact that it's not like Joker isn't Joker in this movie. He's not going around killing people and all that. He's kind of like trying to come back away from being Joker and more into Arthur Fleck. And people didn't like that. But I thought the message of the movie was actually really interesting and something I was not expecting, because it's almost a meta commentary on how we view movies, and especially how people ended up viewing this movie, which I thought was really ironic. But like, I thought it's cool because it's like, the whole point of the movie is that the people who are supporting him and are like cheering him on, they don't give a shit about him, because if they gave a shit about him, they would not be wanting him to do these things. So then Arthur starts to realize that. He starts to realize, yeah, these people don't really give a shit about me. They don't really like that. They're supporting him, and he likes the support. But at the end of the day, it's not what he needs. This is not what that person needs to be better. He didn't win. The first movie didn't end with him winning. That's not winning. From his perspective, he was winning. But anyone with any sort of, like decent, thought in their brain, they would know, okay, he's not really winning because he's now going to go to prison. So how is that good for himself, right? It's not, and it's not going to solve the problems with the world at all. It's not. It's just going to make things worse, which it did. He thinks it was making things better, but again, this movie kind of puts like a whole new perspective into Arthur, and he starts to realize that. And Harley's like pushing him in one direction, trying to push him further into being the Joker, and then he's starting to get pulled away from that. And a lot of the court hearings kind of do that to him, especially when he talks to Gary in the court. So I like that theme. I like that concept. And I thought it was really interesting. It's a very different type of comic book movie. People didn't want it though. They wanted Joker killing people. And I don't know. I thought it was brilliant. And I think it's ahead of its time in that sense. And I do think people will come around to it. I don't think everyone will come around to it. I'm sure lots of people are still going to hate this movie for years to come. But I genuinely think in like 10, 15 years, there's going to be conversations about, okay, Joker 2 is actually pretty underrated. Like, it's going to happen. I can't see that not happening, because it's amazing. It's an amazing looking movie. Like, at the very least, the visuals are on point. It's probably the best looking comic book movie of the past like 5 years. I mean, the Batman's the only one that is competing with that, I would say, in terms of like comic book movies, right? What other comic book movies look as good as this movie? I just can't think of many. I don't know. It looks amazing. It's great cinematography. But yeah, it's S tier for me. Might be a hot take, but don't care. But I would love to hear you guys' opinions though. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on like if you think it's deserved the hate. Do you think it was better than what people said? Because this is also one that I did get to see a bit early. I saw it like a week early, and there was no reviews for it yet. So I was surprised to see how much hate it got. I knew it was going to be divisive, but I didn't know it was going to be that much hate. Like, that was a lot. I was like, damn, really that much hate? All right, next up though, Juror number 2, which interesting that 2 movies that ended up being some of my favorites of the year released like right next to each other. But yeah, Juror number 2 is going to go S tier as well, right above Joker 2. So Juror number 2, it's not a sequel. It's called Juror number 2 because he's Juror number 2 on the
Like he's the second. You know how you get numbers when you're on the jury duty, whatever. This movie's very interesting. I actually recommend going into it knowing as little as possible. But the movie's about, it's Nicholas Hoult. He's got to do jury duty, and he goes there, and he's on a murder case. So he's doing jury duty for a murder case where a guy is convicted for killing his girlfriend, and was, I guess, yeah, his ex-girlfriend or whatever. And there's like, they don't have like concrete evidence for him doing it, but they have some evidence like that leans towards the fact that this guy killed his girlfriend. But Nicholas Hoult, he's on the jury, right? He realizes, and again, I'm going to say maybe skip over this part if you want to know literally nothing about the movie, but I'm just going to say it because it's in the trailer. This isn't a spoiler, but I think the movie's better if you don't know this. But it's in the trailer, so it's not really like a spoiler. But I'll just say it anyways. But like I said, you could skip it if you don't want to know anything. But he finds out, he realized that he was actually the one who murdered this girl, right? And it sounds crazy, but like in the concept of the movie, it makes a lot of sense because he thought he hit a deer one day, but he actually hit this girl and killed her. But he didn't realize because he didn't see the deer on the floor. He didn't see anything on the floor, so he just assumed he just hit a deer. So he just kept driving, and then he realizes, I was on that road that night. I like everything applies to what I did. So now he realizes he's in this tough situation where he's on this jury, and everyone in the jury is like, "Oh, let's just convict him because he probably did it. He probably killed his girlfriend. Whatever, who cares? Like, let's just convict him." But he's sitting there like, "Well, I know for a fact he didn't do it." So like, he's kind of just conflicted with it. Very interesting moral dilemma because he's a good guy. Like, this character's a good person. He knows that like he doesn't deserve to go away from prison, but neither does this other guy because this other guy didn't do it. So it's so interesting, man. I really loved it. Easily one of the best of the year. Did you know that Vincent D'Onofrio was in the first Men in Black? He played Edgar, the guy that was... I did hear about that. The Edgar, the guy was human at first. Yeah, I didn't know that when I first watched the movie, but I did hear about that later on. I love Joker 2. It's not for everybody, especially with the direction, but it's a very well-made film. It's high B tier for me. I respect that. I like Joker 2. Didn't love it, but it was good. Loved the first Joker and liked the second. I respect that. Yeah, so... like I said, I do think that movie will be more loved over time. But yeah, Joker number 2, liked even more than Joker 2. I thought it was fantastic. Didn't you watch Sonic 3? I did not watch Sonic 3. No, I didn't get a chance to see it. It came out so recent. I didn't have time. I was so busy December. And honestly, I'm not like... I like the Sonic movies, but I'm not like that into the Sonic movies that I like needed to watch Sonic 3. You know what I mean? So I'll probably wait for it to come out on streaming to watch it. But I didn't feel like I had to watch it for this ranking, you know. I was like, yeah, it's okay. Because the first two Sonics, I think they're good, but they're not like the best things ever. They're just okay. I don't have like a childhood attachment to Sonic like a lot of people do because I didn't play the Sonic games, so that's also something. Where's Wicked? We haven't ranked it yet. It's all the way down here. We have some more movies to rank, so not quite there yet. Because we're going in release order. Okay. Next up, We Live in Time. So this one is Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh, romance, drama, but it's mostly just a depressing movie because she has cancer in it, and that's the whole plot of the movie. It's not a spoiler. And it's basically dealing with the idea of like the dilemma of, should you live your life like being as safe as possible, trying to, you know, add as much time onto your life as possible, worrying about time so much, or should you just live in the moment and enjoy the moments there, even if that time might not last as long? Obviously in relation to like chemotherapy and stuff. So there's a lot of debates on like whether or not she should take it because it will mess up her life a lot and it could not work, and then she'll just have a terrible couple months that don't work, or she could just enjoy the last few months of her life and then she dies. Very, very sad movie, right? But great performances from Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. Honestly, probably their best performances of all time. So this is going S tier. This is going an S. It was fantastic. Really liked it. I'd recommend it for sure. If you like movies like that, you like sad movies, it's really good. It's really good. And that might be all of the movies for S tier, because I'm trying to see, like, I don't think I'm spoiling that already ahead of time, but yeah, I don't think any other movies here are getting S tier. But yeah, so that's your S tier right there, basically done and done. I mean, that is my top 10 of the year. Well, top 9, and then 10's Bad Boys. But yeah, that's pretty generous for Madam Web. It's not at the all the way bottom of F tier, so yeah, I guess it's a little generous. Gotta put it even lower. All right, Terrifier 3. I'm putting this above The Substance, but below The First Omen. And it's kind of crazy because Terrifier 2, had it much higher in my 2022 ranking. But like, I think it's not because of Terrifier 3 being like worse or anything. It's kind of the same quality as Terrifier 2. But I just think there's a lot more movies in this year that I liked more. But Terrifier 3 is a fantastic movie. It's not for everyone. If you don't like that like ultra gore, like disgusting, like grossed out horror, you're not gonna like it. That's totally fine. But that is what it is. And I think it's actually a really good slasher. Like, despite that, like, it's really well made slasher. It's got a good story. It's got good characters. It's got good, quality to it. Good kills. Obviously, the kills are like the main appeal. Let's be honest. That bathroom scene, oh my goodness, the shower scene, holy shit, that's an all-timer right there. That's like, I don't usually look away from movies. I had to look away from that scene. I really could, like, it was too much. I want to rewatch it because I feel like I did miss a couple things, because I did look away once or twice. I had to. I'm sorry. I was like, I just couldn't keep my eyes on some of that. But it was amazing, and it was a really dark movie. Like, they went far with it, but in ways that worked. And Art the Clown was at his best here. He was at his funniest, but also at his most terrifying at the same time, which is insane how they managed to do that. Had a Christmas theme to it. And yeah, I recommend it. If you haven't seen them, they're fun to watch. They're really fun movies. Spit on my microphone. They're really fun to watch. Stupid depressing movie starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh made me cry. It says here. Yeah, it did make me cry as well. Gotta deserve that S tier though. Gotta deserve that S tier. Wicked deserves S. We'll see when we get there. I can tell you now. Well, actually, I already said it's not getting S tier because I've already put all my movies in S tier. But we'll see what it gets when we get there. Joker and Twister's an S tier. Hell yes. Hell yes. Okay. Mads. Really interesting French horror film that I'm going to put all the way in the A tier. Like, this movie, I gotta just recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it, because I'm sure out of all the movies on this list, this is probably the least popular one, because it's not very well known. I have not seen people talk about it, but it's a French horror film, and it's all shot in one take. So it's like a one-shot movie. What do they call them? A oneer or whatever. And it's really cool. It's about a zombie outbreak. Well, it's not really a zombie outbreak. They're kind of like zombies. It's more like it's like a virus that makes you go crazy and makes you attack people. So it's kind of like zombies, but it's about an outbreak of this virus, and it shows the entire outbreak throughout one night for like 2 hours, because it's about a 2-hour movie. And it's like, again, all one shot. So you just go from like one character to the next character, and holy shit, it's bonkers. It's easily the scariest movie of the year, I will say. If we're talking purely based on fear, it is the one that'll scare you the most. It's very interactive. Like, you feel like you're there. Very immersive is the word, not interactive. Yeah, I loved it. I really did. The whole movie is one shot. Yep, all of it. Now, when I say that, like, does that mean they shot it in one take? I don't think so. They probably, like, the same thing 1917 did, where they like cut it in specific places that is really unnoticeable, so it looks like, yeah, no sneaky cuts. There probably are sneaky cuts. I have no idea. It's kind of hard to tell though. Like, when you're watching it, you don't really think about it though. Like, it works perfectly as a one shot movie. Like, the whole thing. But yeah, it's really impressive. Love Terrifier 3, but the opening scene is so confusing to me in terms of where it fits in the timeline of events. So I think it's after he got, like, because he had pretty sure he had the Santa costume in that scene. So I think it's right after he gets the Santa costume for the first time, which I believe he got it from the mall, the shopping mall. So I think it was like in the middle of the movie, basically, right? But like, we don't really know where in the middle of the movie. I guess it was just he just randomly decided to go to a house and kill a family. I don't know, but that's what I'm pretty sure it's supposed to take place. Because if he had the Santa costume, then yeah, I would assume has to be after he got the Santa costume. But yeah, I don't really know exactly when though. That's true. Chainsaw up his ass. Yep, that was the kill that got me. That was, yep. I think I was able to handle the shower scene the first time I saw it. The opening was the one where I had to look away a few times. The opening like was so dark, like just even like with the kids, it was oh my god. But the one with that the mom though, yeah, that one kind of got me. Because the kills in that movie, they last so long, they're so drawn out, but that's why it works, you know. So I heard 5 takes, but I didn't notice. Yeah, it probably was 5 takes, but as long as it feels like one shot, then I would consider it a one shot. Oh yeah, the bar. He took the suit from the bar. Yeah, I forgot about that. So it's probably right after that then, and then he probably went to the mall after that. Twister and S tier is not a hot take. I'm the same boat as you. It took me by surprise. Yeah, I feel like I think most people liked it. I just don't think many people love it necessarily. Like it got a lot of like universal likes. You know what I mean? Like if people just liked it, but I didn't see a lot of people loving it. But I loved it. I didn't care for the Terrifier franchise until I saw 3. It's A tier for me. It makes me want to give 1 to 2 another chance. I think the first one is bad. Well, okay, it's not like awful. It's just I think it's like a typical really weak like slasher, like a B movie slasher, really not like any story to it, just no good characters. It's just kills. That's basically what the first one is. The second one, it felt like a massive improvement. They actually tried to give it a story, good characters, a really good aesthetic, really good feel to it. The kills are even better. And then I think I still prefer 2 over 3, but like by a small margin. I think 3 might be better if I rewatch it, but I don't know. I feel like 2 for me, I only say 2 is better because I like the music in 2 more. Because I love the soundtrack in 2. The Shard of Glass with Victoria was where I had to look away. Oh, that was something else. That I was laughing in that scene, to be honest. That was like Have you seen Heretic? No, I haven't. I wanted to though, but I didn't get a chance to. Twisters just felt unresolved. Like it's not like they're gonna defeat the tornado. That's true. Yeah, if I mean maybe like in a couple months or something, maybe I'll do Heretic for reaction. Yeah, if enough people want it, for sure. Okay. What movie did I just rank? Mads, right? Yeah. Okay. On to Smile 2. I honestly can't tell if I like this more than Smile 1, but at least for this year's ranking, I'm probably going to put it right here, an A tier. Like, that's what I mean. It's a good year for horror, right? Like, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies, 7 horror movies in S tier or in A tier. That's really good. Like, that's a solid year for horror right there. And then, you know, you have Trap down here, Late Night with the Devil. Like, there's a lot of good ones. Obviously, Alien Romulus. But like, I wish some of these got S tier because it would have been nice, obviously. But you know, I think horror. Sometimes it's hard for them to get like that high for me because it's like I don't know. Horror is very easy for me to like get disinterested in it. Like usually in the third act. I've noticed that with horror movies, especially 2022 horror movies. So many of them, I had the same issue where I loved it until the third act. I don't know what it was. Smile 2, really loved it. I don't know if I loved the ending just because I love what they did, but like I didn't love what it meant for a large portion of the movie. I kind of had an issue with that. I think you guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. But I thought the movie was shot beautifully. It was a fucking amazing. There's a opening shot. The opening scene was incredible. That whole one shot sequence was awesome. The actual like gore to the movie was great. They showed a lot, which I want to say they showed more than the first one even did. It was more gruesome than the first one. The concept is still as good as it was in the first, but I thought they did even more with it here. So yeah, I really liked it. It was a solid sequel for sure. One of the better horror sequels. And I do hope they do a third one. I think there's been rumors of a third one. So who knows? Maybe we'll get that. Okay. Venom: The Last Dance. Oh, this one is kind of similar to Godzilla X Kong, where like I don't think it's bad. I just think it's really disappointing. Like I was so disappointed in this movie. But it's still fine. Like I still liked it. I'm gonna put it in C tier, top of C tier. Cause like, I don't know. I was hoping for something a little bit better, but it's still really good. Or really entertaining. Venom movies are all really entertaining. I don't think a single one of them is not entertaining, but they lack that like extra pizzazz to make it like a really like solid film. You know what I mean? And they could be there. I think if you made them R-rated, focused a little bit more on like being a little bit darker toned, then they work. But these movies are just there to be like pure comedies, like buddy cop comedies, basically, because that's basically what they are. And I loved the third act of Venom 3, which was interesting. I thought the third act was by far the best part, whereas the first like act was pretty bad. Like it was weird how like most movies I feel like it's the opposite, where it's like I'm really liking it for the first two acts and the third act like it drops off a cliff. This was the opposite. The third act was the best part of the movie by far. Like if the third act was the whole movie, we would have had a much better movie, but oh well. Still thought it was okay though. So definitely deserves C tier. Time Cut. Time Cut's interesting because this movie is essentially the exact same as Totally Killer from last year, like the exact same plot, but apparently it actually was filmed before Totally Killer was even filmed itself. It just took longer to come out. So it got a lot of hate for being so similar to that movie, even though it was technically was filmed before it. But I actually don't think this was that bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I don't think it was great though. I'm gonna put it right here. But like, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty fun movie. I watched it on the plane as well. Like I watched a couple movies on the plane. So, you know, maybe my experience wasn't as good because of that, but I had fun with it. It's a time travel movie. Girl travels back to the early 2000s to try to figure out her sister's it was her sister's death or something. You try to figure it out and try to, I don't know. It was decent. You try to figure out who the killer is, and the reveal of who the killer is kind of got me by surprise, actually, which I saw some other people say it didn't get them by surprise. They said it was predictable. I didn't really think it was predictable personally, so I'll give them that. They got me there. And it's, you know, one of those whodunit slashers. I usually like those movies, so it's kind of hard for those movies to be like really bad. But it wasn't like amazing or anything, you know. It wasn't as good as it should have been. Just realized no MCU films this year. Technically, Deadpool and Wolverine is a MCU movie, even though it's more so like an X-Men Fox movie, but it's technically MCU, I would say. Oh, you meant, or are you talking about this year as in 2025, or did you mean 2024? Because yeah, if you meant 2025, yeah, there's a couple coming out. Yeah, no, I do the same thing, but yeah. But yeah, I would still consider Deadpool and Wolverine an MCU movie personally. I mean, again, I could see it going either way, but I think technically it is an MCU movie. It's just like fits more with the X-Men movies, you know. But since it's under Disney, I feel like it should be X. You know what I mean? All right, we have 4 more movies, but I really have to use the bathroom, so I'm gonna go do that real quick, and then I'll be right back, and then we'll finish the last 4 movies because I want to be able to spend a decent amount of time on them rather than rush them out. And yeah, so I'll be right back. Okay, scroll up real quick so I can see your tier. Oh, A tier. Oh, there you go. Yep. All right. Oh. Okay. All right. We got Gladiator to talk about, don't we? Gladiator 2. Honestly, I liked it, but it's weird. I'm gonna put it really high. It's gonna go in A tier, but I'm still gonna call it slightly disappointing because I wanted an S tier out of this, man. I wanted an S tier. The first Gladiator is so good, so I was a little disappointed by it. I felt like it didn't really its purpose wasn't clear, like why it needed to exist. But it was still amazing. It was a really big spectacle movie with just fantastic set pieces, fantastic action scenes. I really liked the actual setting within the character, what roles the characters played. Pretty much, I mean, Paul Mescal, some people saying he was miscasted in this, and I don't really agree with that at all. I think sure, could there have been a better role for Lucius? Maybe, but I feel like I was okay with it. But regardless, I think his role in the movie, not as an actor, but just his role, was my least favorite part of the movie. But everyone else, whether it was Denzel Washington or Pedro Pascal or Joseph Quinn, I think their roles and what they played and their characters, I think was definitely the best parts of the movie. So I just think it should have worked better as a legacy sequel, in the sense that Lucius and his role, it should have made more sense rather than just kind of feeling like a repeat of the original, you know? So these Apple oatmeal bars will get you every time. What? Are you implying that I just have to go to the bathroom to do that? No. If I had to do that, we would have been here for 40 minutes. All right, we are on to Wicked, which I know a lot of people were asking about that. I didn't do a review video for it or anything like that because I didn't really have much to say about. I don't do review videos for things I don't have a lot to say about. You know, I don't feel like I have a lot to say about it. I'm just don't really see the point. But so Wicked, I saw the play a long time ago when I was a kid, so I kind of slightly knew the story, but I didn't know much about it because I just didn't remember it. Obviously I've seen the Wizard of Oz, so I knew that, but I kind of forgot what Wicked was even about. And so I was like, yeah, I'm excited for it. I didn't think it looked too good. I thought the trailers looked a bit off, the visuals looked a bit off. I still do think that after watching it. I think the lighting wasn't very good, but some of the stuff like the set pieces and the set design, that was really great. The costumes were great. I thought the performances were great. I thought the songs were great. I think that's the number one thing that was the best thing about the movie, is the songs, for sure. I'm gonna put it, some people aren't gonna like this, but it's B tier. It's B. I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't fully for me. I'm fully aware of that. I don't think it's my type of movie necessarily, but I had a great time with it. I thought it was a good movie. It was made well for the most part, other than the lighting. I thought the lighting was pretty bad. There's some scenes that just don't look great. Most of it was great. So I think it deserves B tier, but I can totally understand why other people would say S tier. I totally, if you're a big fan of Wicked, you're a big fan of that Broadway, or just regardless, I could see why someone would put it higher. But for me, B tier makes the most sense. Put some respect on Wicked. Production is S tier, voices S tier. It was great singing, I will say. I thought there was no miscasting and everyone did an amazing job. In Gladiator 2, it's B for me. Yeah, I agree. Well, I put it in A, but I agree with the things you said before that. But yeah, Wicked, I mean, I don't know. I liked it a lot. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I just think it's one of those cases where it's I don't have enough positives to say about it either. So if I only have some positives, it's I can't put it above some of these other movies on here. I like these other movies more, but I'm still excited for the sequel. It's technically a part 2. It's not really, you know what I mean? It's the same story. It's just they only did half of the story, but I thought it was well done, and looking forward to that for sure. So that's Wicked. Don't really have much else to say about it. We have 2 more movies, 2 more. So which is actually interesting. I only saw 2 movies in December, or 2 new movies, that is. Well, at least for like the new ones that came out. But first of all, we have Kraven the Hunter, which I don't think was terrible, even though I was like really disappointed with it because I was expecting more from an R-rated comic book movie. But I'm still gonna put it in C tier. Like, it was still fine. Like, I think people overreacted to how bad this was because I don't think it was that bad. I really don't. It was entertaining. I had fun with it. I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was good. My issue is mainly like, I don't think they did a good job with the character of Kraven himself, because in the comics he's this like very different person than he is in this movie. So if you're gonna do that, like, actually make it an interesting character, make this new character interesting, because it's a different adaptation, right? But they didn't really do that. He's not that compelling. His reasons for what he does is not interesting at all, even if Aaron Taylor Johnson did a great job at it. So I thought that was disappointing. But the movie itself, like the story, I actually didn't hate. And I thought Rhino was actually pretty good. Like, people hated that, but I thought it was fine. So most of it was good. A lot of it was bad. So C tier it is. It's kind of just like in the middle. It's the most average movie ever for me. It's just very, very, very average. But finally, we have Carry On, which is a new like terrorist movie. I guess they're technically not terrorists. There's a specific line of dialogue in the movie where the guy's like, "I'm not a terrorist," but it kind of was a terrorist thing. I think it was. It's just, no, it was a terrorist attack. It was just the one guy that was doing it was just doing it for the money. So he was making the argument that he's technically not a terrorist. Whatever. This is a great movie though. I definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. I'm gonna put it below Long Legs, I want to say, but above Fall Guy. Yeah, that's an A tier. Yeah, so it was just this guy. He's a TSA agent at an airport, and he gets kind of mixed in this whole thing where there's this guy who's trying to put this device or something, I can't tell you what it is, on a plane, and he's trying to like get it through, and he has to kind of like play along, or else his girlfriend's gonna get killed. And yeah, very, very entertaining, very, very intense. It's directed by the same guy who directed a couple of the Liam Neeson action movies like Non-Stop, which I love. Non-Stop, it's one of my favorite movies, even though a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, very, very underrated movie, I would say, personally. All right, well, that is the ranking. I'm gonna stick around for a little bit. We could just talk about some of these movies, talk about other stuff for at least a couple minutes, and then I'll get going. That was exhausting. I love streaming, but it's so hard to do when you're sick because it like hurts your throat so bad when you're talking constantly. But I really want to do this stream because I love doing streams like this. I love ranking the movies, so I had to do it. You gotta watch Anora. It's S tier for me. I'm gonna get to it for sure. I don't know when. Like, I don't know. Probably not anytime soon, but for sure. Where'd you put Deadpool and Wolverine? Right up here. I've only seen 2 of these movies, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Carry On. I thought both were just okay. I felt disappointed at the end of both. Well, I hope this will give you like some good ideas of what movies, like at least what I personally would recommend. Anything in S and A tier I would personally recommend. B tier is, I still recommend, but not as much, I guess. But still recommend. And then anything below B tier, probably don't bother with, but you could. It's up to you. The Aaron Taylor Johnson thirst is the most real thing to come from 2020. Kraven the Hunter is my least favorite Spider-Man spin-off movie. It's D tier. I would say for me, my least favorite is definitely Madam Web. I think I prefer Kraven even over Morbius as well. But then after that, yeah, I think the Venom movies are definitely better. The Venom movies were by far the best part of that Sony like villain thing for sure. Joker in S tier, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't that great. I get why people didn't like it too much, or at least you said you didn't hate it, but like I get why people didn't think it was that good. I just personally did. I don't know. I got a lot out of it. I love the story. I love what they were going for. I thought it looked amazing. It's very different, not what I was expecting, but in a way that works. So Tornado above Wicked is wild to me. I love when you called it tornado. Like I feel like it's like an insult to the movie, just calling it tornado instead of Twister. Oh. Quick Patreon question: how often does that request tier open up? I remember you posting about it there being an opening once a few years ago, but it was at a time when I couldn't afford it. Not very often, because I set it up in a way where I didn't want to restrict people's ability to like keep going, because I didn't really know how to do that. Like I don't know if I was trying to look. I didn't see Patreon having an option of like, okay, you can only subscribe to this tier for a month. So like I didn't want to have a situation where I'm like, oh, you can't subscribe to this page anymore. Like, I just felt weird to say that, especially because I didn't know how many people would actually subscribe to that tier. But I do understand. I have heard from a lot of people that they do want to like have a spot in it. And I was like, I agree, but like I said, I don't want to like kick people off or anything. So I was like thinking maybe I can open up more tiers, but if I ever did open up more tiers, I would definitely like give a warning beforehand. So like, you know, anyone who's already asked me, I would definitely take priority. So that would include you. I would definitely like let people know when I'm going to open them up beforehand, and then you can just kind of like go for it. But they don't open up frequently, so I wouldn't like check every day or anything like that. But I'll definitely let you know if there's any like, because I'll probably know ahead of time if it's gonna open up, you know. So I'll let you know. I do want to open up more. I don't have the time for it recently, but if I get the time, then it could definitely be a good idea. Madam Web is bad, but it's so campy. I have fun with it. It's true. I kind of can get that. It's basically comic book Final Destination. Yeah, I can see that. I just think I just didn't get that out of it, to be honest. Like I was like laughing at it at some scenes, but then I was also like, it was. I thought if they at least had like the girls in like the Spider-Man or the Spider-Women like outfits, and they were actually Spider-Women for during the movie, then I think maybe if it was still bad, it would have been a little bit better. But like the fact that they didn't even ever suit up was just like, what am I watching? Are you looking forward to the Mandalorian Grogu movie? Yes, but I'm not like expecting it to be that great, unfortunately. I don't know why. Like I'm just, maybe it's a pessimistic view, but I just, for some reason, I feel like a movie like that's just gonna end up being really bad. Not really bad. It's gonna be like meh, you know? I hope not, though. I hope it'll end up being good. I don't see what they're gonna do with it. Like, what could be so good about that story? I think what would have been better is if they had Ahsoka season 2 maybe like lead into it. If they do that, maybe, and then have Ahsoka join the movie as well. Like if you have all the characters there as well as Boba Fett, then maybe it can work. But I don't know, just Mandalorian and Grogu going on an adventure or something, like why not just do season 4 at that point, you know? Like I don't know. I'm excited for it, but I need to see what it's going to be about first, for sure. Way more excited for is it James Mangold? I think James Mangold's making it. He's doing a Dawn of the Jedi movie. I'm way more excited for that. Have you ever heard of elderberry juice concentrate? If you mix a spoonful with anything you drink, it's supposed to be good for the immune system. Have not heard of that, but I'll definitely look into it. Will you rank all of the American Horror Story seasons after you finish your run? Maybe, but only if, maybe I'll wait for like a new season to come out. Like I don't know when the next season's coming out for, like, you know, like the new seasons, because I think it'll make more sense to do a season ranking alongside a new season releasing, but I have no idea if they're doing that anytime soon. So I guess we'll see. Maybe I probably would. It's probably because you're like every Star Wars fan that hated the Acolyte for no reason. Every Star Wars fan that hated. Oh, you're I think I had pretty good reasons for disliking that show. Well, okay, I didn't hate it. Like I actually got a lot out of it. Like I loved the choreography. Like actually, if you watch my season 1 episode 5 episode reaction to the Acolyte, I was loving that episode. I thought that was amazing. But like I think most of the show, it was just not well made. It was mainly in the story department. I felt like it was built to be a movie turned into a TV show because some of the episodes almost nothing happens, and there's a lot of retreading storylines. So it's like, well, we already know this. Why are we seeing it again? That sort of a thing. Some of the character motivations are a bit wonky. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of that. But the choreography was amazing, and the cast was good too. A good cast, good choreography. So there was positives, but unfortunately, I just didn't end up loving it. So, but yeah, is what it is. Grogu's gonna be grown up and voiced by Danny DeVito. Yeah, that would be funny. That would be funny. Okay, I think I'm gonna get going now. I gotta let my voice calm down so I could get back to making videos, because holy shit, man, this thing is dying. This thing is rough after a 3-hour stream, but I had fun. This is good. Solid year for movies, to be honest. I hope 2025 is even better. It honestly looks like it might be. There's a lot of interesting sounding movies coming out this year. A lot of ones I'm excited for. Sadly, Star Wars lost me this year. I kept trying to defend it, but I just find it hard to care anymore. I guess I haven't seen the Skeleton Crew show. I watched the first 3 episodes and I thought it was okay, but I guess they're not doing a lot. Star Wars, that's the thing, you know. So I really hope they just win everyone back with the movies, you know, the new movies they're working on. Hopefully they can. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate that. All right, I will see you all later. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Peace out.